All right, are we good? Are we live? I think we are. Hello all and welcome back to the Women's Football Chat Live. We're back for Women's Champions League quarter-final second leg action as we move from the least competitive tie of the quarter-finals into the most competitive tie. Just one goal separating these two sides. Wolfsburg pulling off a big upset, leading this tie 1-0 after a very successful performance at home. Now OL Lyonnes back at the Groupama Stadium have to try and turn things around. Should be a fantastic game, Harry.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this game is perfectly poised from a neutral point of view with the favourites really in OL Lyonnes trailing and with work to do. Wolfsburg, though, we know have got the quality to see this one goal lead through. So I think it's going to be a fantastic battle where the quality of Lyonnes is battling against the heroic defence really that we saw from last week from VfL Wolfsburg. It's set up perfectly. It's bound to be a good game. Both these sides, both European giants, both know what it takes to get into the semi-finals. Yeah, it's bound to be a brilliant, brilliant game with the potential for extra time penalties looming. Yeah, I'm really excited for this tie.
Yeah, a lot of work for Lyonnes to do then. Last week, we saw them perhaps struggle to create the chance quality that we'd expect. We saw them a little bit vulnerable, very vulnerable, I should say, to transitional moments. A little bit too stodgy in possessional play. Some tweaks to the lineup, which we'll get into in a moment. Do you think that's enough to shift how we expect them to look in this game? Or do you think there's some tactical principles that are going to shift as well? What are your thoughts heading into this one?
I think Giraldez has got to find the balance between being aggressive because they need a goal, but also not being as open as they were last week, because then you're inviting VfL Wolfsburg to score again, and 2-0 down would put Lyonnes in a very, very bad position. So they've got to find that balance between needing to find that goal but not rushing things and not being too open. I think personnel changes will, could be enough to get them through, but also people need to raise their game. It's as simple as that for OL Lyonnes. Giraldez hasn't changed the whole 11, so the players that are starting tonight that did play last week have got to raise their level. Too many individual mistakes, too sloppy in possession. They've got to up it, because Wolfsburg proved last week that if Lyonnes do not bring their best game, Wolfsburg can punish them. Wolfsburg got the ability to beat them. So yeah, I think it's a bit of both. Tactically, they've got to get it spot on. They've got to find a balance, but the personnel have also got to be much better on the football pitch.
Indeed. With that, let's dive into the lineups ahead of this one then. We'll begin with OL Lyonnes as we are at the Groupama Stadium, the home of Olympique Lyonnais. In goal, it's Christine Endler. A back four remaining unchanged of Lawrence, Renard, Engen and Selma Bacha. In midfield three, Damaris Agarola and Melchi Dumornay dropping out of the side, with Heaps, Schrader and Johannes lining up instead. On one wing, it's Diani. On the other, Eula Brand changes for Chawinga. And up front, it's Ada Hegerberg. So a load of changes in there. The players coming in, Johanna Schrader and Eula Brand. Let's start midfield. No Damaris Agarola. What do you think of that?
I think it's very aggressive, is what I think it is. I think that as much as they need to be positive tonight and they need to be on the front foot, taking out Egarola, who just props that midfield up and just allows you to have a bit of control, is a big risk. And it's going to be very interesting to see how a bit more of an offensive midfield does get in. Of course, Schrader can be a little bit more reserved and Johannes can also play that deeper role. But I think on the whole, it's a very positively minded midfield, which is what you need when you are trailing. But it also does potentially come back to what I mentioned about having that lack of balance. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes, coupled with the fact that you've got two very aggressive fullbacks again. I think it's aggressive, which could pay off because they could overwhelm Wolfsburg. But if they get stuck again, they could end up getting caught out with a lot of attacking-minded players on the pitch. It's a big risk, and it'll be interesting to see whether it does pay off.
Just to look at it from a different perspective, I'd actually argue the midfield is a bit more defensively minded. I think it's going to be a lot more interchangeable today. I think with Damaris Agarola, a fantastic conductor of the play, but doesn't necessarily give you the steel or the energy you need in midfield. Where I'd expect this midfield three to be a lot more energetic. I'd expect them to be swapping positions quite fluidly. I understand your reservations, but I think with taking Dumornay out, I think it's going to be a better balance to midfield three. I think the players, the interchangeability of those players is going to be better, and the ability then to swap roles in different positions, I think will be really important. And I think that can absolutely make a difference. When you look at what Lyonnes are trying to do, you'd see Heaps drop deep, but Egarola's never going to push up into that space. But that manoeuvrability and that dynamism, fluidity could just help them be able to play through the lines a little bit better. Well, I'm a little bit more intrigued though. In defence, Lawrence keeping her place in the side. To be honest, I would have started Tatiana, or I would have expected Tatiana to start. I think when we're looking at that Lyon defence, where the big weakness was last time was in behind Wendy Renard. And I really felt that Wolfsburg were able to target them in transitions, target that space in transitions, because Lawrence wants to get forwards. Renard is stepping up aggressively onto Beerenstein, who is really good at dropping off, and that created the space then for Wolfsburg to attack into. Tanaciani helps you with recovery pace. The other thing was Ada Hegerberg really struggled last week. Are you surprised to see them stick with Hegerberg with options of Katoto, options of Dumornay, sticking by Ada Hegerberg in this one?
Yeah, I'm really surprised, to be completely honest. I think when you've got the quality of someone like a Katoto sat right there on the bench who's able to come in and have a massive impact on these kind of games, it's a big call from Graudes. I think that Hegerberg, as you say, struggled to get into the game, was shut out by that Wolfsburg back three, and really couldn't deal with. Of course, Hegerberg is good physically and good aerially, but she was being beaten by that Wolfsburg backline. I think Katoto, bit better in the air, bit taller, bit more physical, and a bit quicker as well, would potentially have a bit more luck. But going for Hegerberg, of course, she's an experienced player, but I think that's a bit of an oversight. I'd have gone Katoto tonight just to change it up and just to give Wolfsburg a bit of a different test to what they had last week.
Indeed. As for the Wolfsburg side, then an unchanged 11 for the She-Wolves. In goal, it is Johannes, a back three really of Dijkstra, Kuva and Janina Minga, with Linda and Bielda then playing as the fullbacks or wingbacks. In the midfield, a pivot of Ella Pedemors and Justine Kierland. On one wing, it's Svenja Hoof. On the other, it's Enderman. And leading the line, it's the goal scorer from last week, Lynette Beerenstein. Lots to like about this Wolfsburg side, understandably, not making any changes.
Yeah, exactly. They are looking for a carbon copy of what happened last week. Be defensively solid and look to hit Lyonnes on the counter-attack. And if they can get another goal, well, they'll have a foot into the semi-finals. Massive night for Wolfsburg. Unchanged is the right way to go. Just need to repeat the same quality that they delivered last week, and they should be into the last four. Of course, Lyonnes have got the quality to change that, but for Wolfsburg, it's just about repetition and about delivering another top quality performance.
Absolutely. Well, with both sets of players out on the field, then the Champions League anthem blaring around the Groupama Stadium. Let's dive into predictions ahead of this one. If you're watching along to the live show and want to get involved, then let us know your scoreline predictions in the live chat, and we'll dive into all of those ahead of kickoff. We're going to get things started here in the studio, and as always, we'll start with yourself, Harry. What is your prediction as OL Lyonnes host VfL Wolfsburg?
Oh, I think it's such a difficult one to call. I think we're going to go to extra time. I'm going to say OL Lyonnes 2, VfL Wolfsburg 1, and I think we'll go to extra time, and I will then say Lyonnes to win it in extra time. So I think it will be Wolfsburg to open the scoring, and it will be, I will say, Pedemors to fire them into a 2-goal aggregate lead. Lyonnes will come back at them with goals from Eula Brand against their former side and Katoto off the bench to send us into extra time. And then I will say an extra time goal from Lindsay Heaps to send Lyonnes into the semi-finals. But a brilliant Champions League battle between two top sides. But I'm going to say OL Lyonnes with the quality just to edge out Wolfsburg.
Suitably dramatic, I have to say. Yeah, I think it's going to be, look, as much as I want to see, I think Wolfsburg was so good, as much as I want to see an upset, as much as I want to look at that Wolfsburg side and back them to pull off a similar feat to last week, I just can't look past the quality of that Lyonnes team. And I think especially when you look at that subs bench, and even if they don't find that goal in the first 45 minutes, the first hour, they can turn to the likes of Vicky Becco, Chawinga, Katoto and Dumornay. And I mean, you bring those four on, it's a different equation, but that's such a strong attacking lineup. So yeah, I struggle to look past Lyon tonight. I'm going to go for a 3-0 win on the night, a 3-1 win on aggregate then. I think they'll get the job done. I've been super impressed with Wolfsburg, though, their ability to compete in this game, the way they dealt with Juventus as well in the knockout playoff round. I think a huge step up from what was a very messy league phase. It's going to be a big summer for them, but yeah, I think they've got a good thing going with Stefan Lurch. If they can invest in him and they can back him in the summer, they're definitely going somewhere. But I think the quality tonight for OL Lyonnes is just too high, so I think they'll win the game. I'm going to say an early-ish goal from Ada Hegerberg. I think she'll make up for her poor performance last week, but I think they'll struggle a little bit from there until about the 60th minute, they make those changes. I'm going to say a Melchi Dumonet double from the bench.
Yeah, Wolfsburg will not go down, without a fight. I think that if Lyonnes do turn this around, they're not going to, blow them out the water by 3 or 4 goals tonight. Wolfsburg are going to give it absolutely everything to try and defend this 1-goal lead. And yeah, it's going to be difficult, but they've got the quality to do it. Lyonnes have got to throw everything at it, but also balance between being patient and being aggressive. I think it's going to be brilliant no matter what happens. I'm expecting drama. I'm expecting a quality display from both sides, and hopefully it is going to deliver a brilliant tie.
And well, it will be OL Lyonnes to get us started in this one. From the middle, knocked back by Hegerberg, and we're underway here in France. It's OL Lyonnes taking on VfL Wolfsburg. Wolfsburg leading by a 1-0. As the most successful side in the history of this competition, seek to continue their path to glory once again. And well, it's been something of a dry spell for OL Lyonnes. Haven't won either of the last 2 editions, which by their lofty standards is a drought. Lyonnes coming forwards. Batcher, Johannes round the corner looking for Euler Brand, who gets away from Bielda. Now looking to put it into the air, and a chance early on. But that's missed by Corbin Schrader, who couldn't quite fire that one home.
Yeah, Schrader has to do better. Lightning start from Wolfsburg. Johannes gets Brand in behind, and the ball is on the money from Euler Brand, and Schrader volleying over the bar. Has to do better, but a really good start from Lyonnes.
Absolutely. And Lyonnes now will look to put them under pressure as Johannes sends this one forward. It will bounce through to Enderman, and now to Beerenstein, looking to find Sven Huth, but Beerenstein carries it forwards. Back heels now to Huth. That's a little over-ambitious, and Lyonnes recover possession.
Unnecessary from Beerenstein. Didn't need to backheel it. Could have just turned and played a normal pass.
Brilliant hold up from Ede Hegerberg as Lyonnes now look towards the right-hand side. Lawrence carries up the line. Here's Diani. Sending it forwards, looking for Schrader. Turned over well, and Lawrence shielding the pass back into Renard. Ball lifted forwards, looking for Hegerberg, and well, that will bounce through Hegerberg. Not quite able to win the header against Camilla Cuva. And that will be a Wolfsburg, in the possession now of Sina Johannes.
Yeah, very much expecting Wolfsburg, especially Johannes, to slow this game down whenever they get the chance to. Just got to try and take the pace out of it. And don't allow OL Lyonnes to build up consistent pressure, because that's when you will crack as an opposition.
Yeah, I forgot to read predictions, but GT going 2-0 to OL Lyonnes. Phil saying 5-1 Lyon. And David Clinton saying 3-1 Lyon after extra time. So a lot of very competitive ties, and a not so competitive tie in the case of Phil's prediction. That wide now with Saleh Linda, and back to Minga. Shona says, are you surprised Schrader is overlooked for the US? No, not at all. I think that she's not good enough for Emma Hayes to have any reason to risk the squad harmony. And yeah, I think a player with such divisive views is not going to be someone who settles into those kind of groups very easily. So yeah, I'm not surprised that Emma Hayes isn't interested. Free kick there, slightly confused as to why, and OL Lyonnes also frustrated. Brand, they're getting back in there, and it looked like more of a foul from Keelan than Brand.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. Keelan kind of swings there, and Brand will sort of get in between Keelan's and the ball and gets caught, but gives away a free kick.
Dijkstra. Now to Johannes. Minga. Slotting it into Camilla Cuva, who lifts it out towards the right-hand side. Good football from Wolfsburg. Bielda forced backwards, though. Here's Dijkstra. Back towards Bielda, just slightly overhit from Caitlin Dijkstra.
Yeah, just need to settle down here to Wolfsburg in these early stages. Need to just get into their shape, get the ball down, and just get comfortable.
Lawrence there, forced backwards by Vivian Enderman, goes down, and it was out for a throw. Yeah, a little bit clumsy from Enderman. but well, did well to force Lawrence backwards. Batcher. Back now with Engen. Heaps round the corner to Renard. Flip round the corner from Schrader. Here is Hegerberg. Wide now with Diani. Ball in. It's blocked wild by Sado Linda. Shamler says, so it's more to do with team chemistry than her level. She'd play at a very high level to make it, which she isn't. Yeah, I mean, if she was one of the best midfielders in the world, then I think Hayes would reconsider, but I don't think Schrader is one of the best midfielders in the world. I think she's a very decent player, but yeah, I don't think there's any reason to take that risk, really, for Hayes. Corner now, then, for OL Lyonnes. Ball floated in there, headed goalwards. There's a block in there, a faint call of handball, but it's not one for Wolfsburg that they would hang their hat on. Ball sent forwards, Enderman putting Lawrence under pressure here. Lawrence does well to play out. And now Batcher getting back in support.
Brilliant hassle from Enderman. Does so well. Just to stay on Lawrence's back, and it was a bit unlucky actually to not come over the ball in there.
Renard. Across to Ingrid Engen. Batcher. Johannes. Now Batcher. Johannes again. Back to Batcher. Engen. And now Renard. Here's Lawrence. Lovely pass round the corner from Schrader to Diani. Breaks into the box. Linda does really well there. Wants to be aggressive with Diani. Just takes her hands off her in the penalty area. Smart defending. Gets back in there and makes an important challenge there.
Yeah, on the line from Linda. Does really well to be assertive, be aggressive, but not concede a needless penalty. But it's a good start from Lyonnes. They're getting the ball down, moving it nicely and finding the front three in space. And exactly the way they need to go about turning around this deficit.
Indeed. Ball lifted in and it's headed away well. Hannah's trying to keep it alive. She lift this into the box. Good defending from Enderman. On back well though by Schrader. Now Heaps. This midfielder 3 out on the left-hand side. And again, I think that's probably why they've gone for that stage. They can keep those 3 midfielders close together. Try and get them to combine. Johannes carrying it forwards well. And Batcher knocks it in there. Cleared away by Dijkstra.
Yeah, Wolfsburg won't mind this as such. They're dealing with these deliveries in well. Of course, all it takes is one delivery. It's on the money. And suddenly, Lyonnes could be level. But positive from OL Lyonnes, but Wolfsburg will be content with the kind of threat that has been posed so far.
Yeah. Batcher over this. Still Batcher lifting it in there. That's a great ball. Handed away well though by Kuva. Now Diani lifts it back in there. Headed away well. Will drop for Batcher, who drills it low on the edge of the box. It'll run all the way through to Johannes. And that's a good delivery in towards the back post. Johannes makes a mess of it. It's cleared away well by Svenja Huth. Down the line from Batcher. Nice give and go as she now lifts it towards the back post. Diani gets ahead to it, but it goes the wrong direction. And Kierland out and able to knock it into Diani and out for a throw-in. Wolfsburg can look to play up the line. I just feel a lot of Lyonnes' aerial threat is nullified by Camilla Kuva, who is just so imposing in the air. I think it's a big part of why Hegerberg hasn't really got in this tie.
Yeah, I think that's why I'd have opted for Katoto, just to give us something else to deal with.
Or even Dumoulin, because Dumoulin is going to drop out of the forward line.
Yeah.
Overload the midfield, and then makes it quite difficult. But I just think Hegerberg's a little bit too static. A little too one-dimensional. You know what to expect from Ada Hegerberg. Johanna Spacher. That doesn't mean you can necessarily deal with it, but if you're quick and physical like Kuva and you've got the height, you've got a great chance of being able to. We saw that in the first leg. Heaps just about getting it to Johannes, and that's flipped around the corner. Brave trying to play out from there. Minga, and it falls now for Johannes, who tries to poke it forwards. Here's Eula Brand. Messy that from Wolfsburg. Brand carries onto the left-hand side. Can she cut it across for Schrader? Schrader can't adjust her feet, and it's cleared away well.
Another good chance for OL Lyonnes. It's messy in the middle of the park from Wolfsburg. It's ricocheting around, and it breaks free for the French side. And Brand's ball, it was hit hard, but I think Schrader's got to do better there. Got to sort her feet out and, either look to use the pace and drill it first time, or the controller's got to be good to allow her to have another shot.
Lawrence down the line, looking for Diani. Cleared away by Sarai Linda.
Yeah, good to see this Linda versus Diani battle resumed. Enjoyable watch last week, and looks to be very similar this week.
Lawrence Hegerberg trying to turn away from Minga. Does so. Ball into the box. Dijkstra makes contact. Batcher a swing and a miss. And Kierland steering it clear. It is one-way traffic though. Lyonnes in control and definitely looking a lot more threatening than they did in the first leg. Brands brought down by Dijkstra, deemed fair by the referee, and Wolfsburg could look to counter here, and it's Bierenstein, and it's 3-on-3 for Wolfsburg. The wrong decision though. She tries to squeeze it left, and Ashley Lawrence intercepts.
Has to go right there to Svenja Hoof. Has to go right. Even if you don't think Hoof's got the ability to take players on, you've just got to go to the player which is a safer option. You've been under pressure for 11 minutes. Just give it to the player that you know you can get the pass to.
Yeah, we saw as well last week. Bierenstein knocking it right, Hoof taking it on, lifting it towards the back post, and they really should have scored there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think she should, as you say, should have trusted Svenja Hoof. Let's carry that one forwards. Johannes back to Batcher. Johannes lifted it forwards, cleared away. Another poor touch from Corbin Schrader. Bit of a let-off again for VfL Wolfsburg. As Kuva gives it back to Linda. Now Stina Johannes choosing the safe option, launching it out of play. Wolfsburg definitely feeling, I think, the pressure. Lyonnes, a marked improvement on what was a fairly lacklustre display last week.
It's been a strong 12 minutes. And as I said at the start of the show, they know that they've got time. They don't need to rush it. They don't need to panic. Even if they don't get a goal in the first 30 minutes, no rush. They'd like to, but they do only need one. And it just takes one moment to score in football. Of course, they want to be behind for as least little time as possible.
Yeah. Engen. And now Renard. Across to Ingrid Engen. Batcher. Wide now with Eula Brand. Brand carrying down the line. Dealt with well by Bialdo, but a corner to follow now for OL Lyonnes. They've definitely got aerial threats in the box if they can pick them out.
Yeah, a couple of crosses have picked out players but not been turned goalwards. It's a good opportunity to try and
find Renard.
Yeah. Batch has been over them, but it's going to be Johannes to take this one. So a bit of a change then of how they want to take this from the outswinger to the inswinger.
Johannes, not a bad delivery. Renard can't get there. Drops for Schrader, and while she catches that one, well, just can't quite keep it down.
Yeah, once again, looking for Renard, which is where it needs to be, but dealt with brilliantly by Kuva. And it falls to Schrader, who takes it on the volley, and yeah, caught it nicely, but always sailing over. And Wolfsburg will happily watch that go into the stands all night.
Signed a new contract last week, Kamia Kuva. Can't help but feel that if that wasn't the case, she would have suitors across Europe. What a fantastic player, and you would, Wolfsburg will be very happy to keep hold of her, but you would think some of those top sides in Europe would be interested. You know, the likes of Arsenal, Chelsea, perhaps even Barcelona and OL Lyonnes. I think all of whom are going to be in the market for a centre half this summer.
Yeah.
Or very much could be. And then held back there by Ash Lawrence. Ashley Lawrence, and smart play from Enderman. An obvious foul.
Yeah, does really well. Just backs herself into Lawrence, forces Lawrence to commit that foul, and just gets the team up the pitch. Which is what they've needed, because they've been bogged down for the majority of the first 15 minutes here.
Minga, Kuva, wonderful pass there, just shifting it well, showing that agility. Such the play there is nodded out of play by Lawrence and taken. Oh, it looked like Enderman may take that quickly, but she'll drop the ball. Let them progress up the line. And Grades has had a shave, and I have to say, clean shaven. He doesn't look the same. I thought he had a maestro for a second, which would be a disaster for Lyonnes. Here's Dijkstra. Back now with Johannes. Just about squeezing it into Janina Minga. Back now to Stina Johannes. Kuva, strong challenge from Diani. Focuses inside. Hegerberg. Schrader. Now Johannes. Can she get the shot away? Opens up. Well, and it's deflected home. OL Lyonnes draw level in the tie. Johannes' effort sent the other direction in the back of the net here. It's OL Lyonnes 1. Wolfsburg 0. And a big deflection. Much like the goal last week for Lynette Beardenstein. This time benefiting Lyonnes though, and it was a cheap giveaway from Kuva, a strong challenge from Diani. They reacted well. No one closed down Johannes quick enough, and it's an unfortunate deflection off Janina Minga. But it's OL Lyonnes 1. Wolfsburg 1 in the tie.
Yeah, a very unfortunate deflection, but maybe a bit of a evening out from the first leg. But it's just silly from Wolfsburg. They've been flirting with the line of danger in the first 15 minutes, and they finally get punished for it. Of course, it rewarded them in the first leg, but in the set, you've got the lead. First 50 minutes, just got to clear their lines and be a bit more sensible. Kuva there tries to spin out of trouble. Wrong decision at this point in the game, and a perfect start for OL Lyonnes.
Kierland. Back now to Janina Minga. Now Kuva. Dijkstra playing it wide. Biada. And Dijkstra now across back to Johannes. Johannes looking to find Svenja Huth. Engen though, no issues collecting that ball. And now Renard. Heaps. Renard. Now Lindsay Heaps. Johannes lifting it over the top. Kuva heading away well. Now Kierland trying to find Enderman. Johannes wins it back. Here's Batcher. Carrying the ball forward. Selma Batcher. A shot from range. Whistling just past the post. But Lyonnes level in the tie. Threatening to try and take the lead.
Yeah, and this is the exact reaction we expected to see from OL Lyonnes, and Wolfsburg just can't seem to contain them at the moment. Expected Wolfsburg to hang on a little bit longer, and the fact they've conceded in the first 50 minutes just hurts them. But they've got to get through the next 5-10 minutes unscathed.
Engen heading it away now with Johannes. Heaps. Back to Renard. And Renard trying to find Lily Johannes. It runs through for Stina Johannes instead. Linda. Janina Minga lifting it forwards. Lawrence heads it down. And now Johannes. Engen. Here is Selma Batcher. Engen. Heaps. Back to Engen. Moving across the back line now. Renard spreading it wide. Diani to Lawrence. Down the line to Schrader. Touched on nicely to Diani. Into the box now. And good defending as Linda and Minga work together to thwart the threat. But OL Lyonnes starting to move the ball really nicely now. And Wolfsburg under pressure.
Yeah, this is what we expected from Jonathan Grana's OL Lyonnes. And it feels that this tie could be turned on its head very soon. Because 20 minutes gone and it has been all OL Lyonnes, and Wolfsburg just cannot get out at the moment.
Yeah, 66% possession, 6 shots without reply. Only 1 on target. And they'll be hoping they can put more pressure here on Wolfsburg with this opportunity. And Batcher this time with the in-swinger. Delivering it towards the back post. Headed down. And Johannes saved well by Johannes. Lifted in by Batcher. Renard tries the overhead kick. And while that would have been quite spectacular, it ends up quite wide of the mark. But great work here from Engen to head it down. Falls for Lily Johannes. Saved well with the feet of Stina Johannes.
Yeah, brilliant save as Johannes denies Johannes. Great knockdown from Engen. And there's not really much that Lily Johannes does wrong there. And it's a really good save from the Wolfsburg keeper to keep this tie level on aggregate. But again, they're trying to play out. And it's an unforced error as Minga puts it out for a throw. They are really struggling, VfL Wolfsburg. Something has got to give if they want to try and get just a bit of control in this game. And again, it's Lyonnes cutting forwards. Big block from Dijkstra to cut that ball out. But yeah, Wolfsburg under a lot of pressure.
Yeah, Lyonnes have raised the level. I think that midfield being more fluid has just helped them a lot. Schrader and, they moved Heaps into that deeper role, but they are rotating quite effectively. Johannes is giving them a lot in the final third, but it's more balanced and they're able to control the game a lot more. I think with Dumornay, as fantastic as she is, playing that midfield role is just going to leave them a little bit exposed. And maybe a Dumornay up front or a Katoto up front may make a difference, but I think they're playing really well at the moment. And that midfield is finding a lot of space. And Hegerberg's movement and positioning is helping with that. Corner, Kuva heading away. Batcher now on the recycle. Schrader into Diani. Trying to create space for the cross. Goes back to Corbin Schrader. Swings it in there. Renard heads in the general direction of the goal. But it is no issue for Stina Johannes.
Yeah. Now we're annoyed, Lyonnes, so far with the lack of threat they've had from these corners. At the moment, they're trying to find Renard, but because Kuva is tightly marking it, they just can't seem to find a way to break through from a set piece.
Huth now to Kierland, who's carrying it forwards. Nowhere to go, though. Minga, Kuva. Here is Dijkstra. Ball down the line. And knocked home well by Ingrid Engen. Renard. Carrying it forwards. Lawrence. Looking up the line. Plays it again into Schrader. Schrader back now to Ashley Lawrence. Lawrence goes inside to Heaps. Heaps back round the corner to Renard. Now Engen. Plays it wide into Selma Batcher. Batcher to Brand. Going down the line, Eula Brand. Twisting and turning. Bielda stands her up well. Ball in. Johannes spills. But does do well to collect the dropped ball. And launches it all the way to Christine Endler.
Hot in mouth moment for Stina Johannes as she came out and fumbled it. But Bielda is struggling to contain Eula Brand on that left-hand side.
Indeed.
Wolfsburg are struggling overall.
Plays it into Heaps. Back to Engen now with Batcher. Batcher tries to play it forwards, clipping onto Hegerberg, who can't quite find Lindsay Heaps there. Lyonnes back in possession. Keelan trying to poke it through the lines, looking for Vivian Enderman. One back well by Wendy Renard, and now with Lawrence. Great anticipation there from Sarah Linda. Jump in front and poke that out of play. Lyonnes throw in on this near side. Heaps through the lines well into Schrader to Hegerberg. And now Beerenstein. Keelan loses out, but that will run through to Stina Johannes. Ella Pedamors losing out in there. Diani. Now Heaps. One back in midfield now as Diani continues her run. Can take aim from here. It's blocked and bounces up, and it's a comfortable claim for Stina Johannes. Dijkstra. Bielda. Dijkstra. Wolfsburg building out. Keeland. Now Kamia Kuva playing it into a central area. Keeland into Beerenstein and can't quite get there. Ella Pedamos. And now it's with Diani. Space to attack into. Can take aim, and a good claim from Stina Johannes.
Yeah, Stina Johannes has just come a bit busier in the last 5-10 minutes, but that was it's well struck from Diani, a bit straight. But that all came from a bit of better play from Wolfsburg, and they were one pass away from getting Enderman away down the left-hand side, which is a bit more promising, but still really struggling to get out and lay a finger on Lyonnes at this point in the match.
Who's putting pressure on Batcher, just clipping Thelma Batcher. That'll be a Lyonnes free kick taken quickly. Heaps through the lines. That's an ambitious pass. And it's Kuva who comes away with the ball. Looks to the left-hand side. Heaps slips over. Here's Justine Keelan. Still coming forward here. Keelan knocks it in behind. Can Beerenstein get there in the box? She can. Great work from Beerenstein. Needs support. Here's Enderman. Looks to take on Lawrence. Puts it in the area. Run through to the back post. Batcher heads it clear. Headed back inside from Bielda. Beerenstein goes down. But I don't think that will be a foul. And Brand nudged down by Bielda. That will be a free kick.
Better from Wolfsburg, much better from VfL Wolfsburg. Just got the ball. That's what we were seeing in the first leg. The quick passes through the lines and getting up the pitch. And they did well to just... That's their first few touches in the OL Lyonnes penalty area. So that's something. But yeah, better from Wolfsburg.
Indeed. Renard. Now to Engen. Esprit says Lyon plays so good. Yeah, I think we're seeing a bit of a mismatch still of profiles. I think especially when you look at that midfield, are they all players that Geraldes really wants? I don't know. But I think with Heaps going this summer, I think we'll see them build a midfield 3-4 for Geraldes. The attacking line, they can't possibly sign any more players unless someone leaves.
No.
The defence, would they look at a top right back? I mean, I'm surprised we've not seen links with Ona Battier.
Yeah.
But I guess for Battier, why would... If she wants to just try and win the Champions League again, she's probably quite happy to stay at Barcelona.
Yeah.
If she's got ambitions to go and get a WSL title and earn more money, then she's got those options as well, which seems like the most likely situation. But other than that, it's such a good team. Maybe they look at goalkeeper in the next few years as well, but they're doing the business for now.
Yeah.
But it's 34, so that's something they've got to think about. But yeah, I imagine it'll be the midfield where they look to invest. Heaps will likely go. I think there'll be trust put in Johannes, but I think they'll want to... I think Geraldes would like to bring fresh energy into that midfield, bring in players who are really good on the ball to play his kind of football. Which, I don't necessarily think... I think Johannes is fantastic on the ball, but I think in Schrader and Heaps, it's just not the perfect midfield three for Geraldes.
No.
Minga back now into Stina Johannes. That's the right-hand side. Touchdown by Huth. Bielda can't quite get there. And now it's with Ingrid Engen. Johannes back to Engen. Wide now with Diani. Shimmies inside really effectively there. Diani, ball through the lines. Can't quite find their way towards goal, but Brand picks it up now. Heaps to Batcher. Batcher's got space to work in here. Carries it forwards, looking for support. Back now to Johannes. Engen. Renard. Under no pressure here. Could take a shot. Wendy Renard, and well, probably had better options there.
Yeah, went for glory, but that's gone blazing over the bar. Yeah, she probably should have looked to release it, but it's still good from Lyonnes, but I feel like the last 10 minutes has been much better from VfL Wolfsburg. Had a couple fires forward, but they just seem to be handling the pressure a bit better. And half an hour played, although they have conceded, they are still very much in the game and in the tie.
Like says, he's surprised Leon plays Lawrence. I mean, she's their only right back, so no, I think they would have gone. I'm surprised they didn't go for Tachiai tonight, but yeah, I'm not surprised they play her. But it is one area of the team where I just think I know obviously they were going to lose Carpenter anyway, but could they have found a better option? I think it was the convenience of being able to pull off that swap deal. Great pressure from Eula Brand to win it high up the pitch. Brand cuts inside. Batcher. Heaps. Now back to Engen. Here's Renard. Engen. Back now with Endler. Engen. Cross to the right-hand side. Renard, surveying her options, does return it to Ingrid Engen. Johannes splitting the centre halves to get involved. That's what I mean about that fluidity. Just being able to utilise those individuals to create a little bit more space. Here's Heaps, who's pulled into the vacated space of Ada Egerberg, but can't do anything with it. Team effort towards goal, a comfortable claim for Stina Johannes.
Yeah, should have liked to catch that better, Heaps, but ended up passing it almost to Johannes in the Wolfsburg net.
Enderman carries inside, wriggles away from Johannes well. Johannes getting back in there. Engen, Batcher. Switch of the play, looking for Diani, who's going to get there ahead of Linda. Has a bit of time now, lifts it into the area, headed away well by Camilla Cuva. Heaps. Now Renard. Lifts it in there, cleared away well by Cuva. And Batcher trying to bring it down. Looking down the line into that half space, and good work from Brand to try and win it out the pitch, and does so. Schrader looking for Brand. Fantastic from Cuva. Bielda to Huth. They've done well to withstand the pressure at times also, but yeah, Lyonnes really dictating this game. Pedamors, Linda, in towards Vivian Enderman, who's going to get there first, but a well-timed challenge from Renard, stopping the danger.
Yeah, brilliant from Wendy Renard. Enderman just looked to try and poke it past, and she's got to try and lift it, anticipate that tackle, or knock it wide or lift it over her. Got to anticipate that tackle's going to come from Renard.
I think she's got to. I think Enderman there's got to pull wider.
Yeah,
got to create the angle for the pass across. Schrader, Lawrence, cleared away, drops now for Salabatcher, blocked well, gonna drop for Lindsay Heaps and dragging it wide. I don't think Lyonnes can believe that they haven't found another goal yet. So many opportunities, but yet to find the back of the net.
Yeah, great ball in from Lawrence and Brand's headers blocked, and then a miscommunication between Bielda and Johannes means that Bielda clears it straight to Batcher, who also saw her effort blocked before Heaps just drags it wide. Good pressure from Bierenstein to put her off. But again, Wolfsburg riding their luck a little bit in this one. Big chances going by for Lyonnes.
Linda. One high here by Heats. Linda gets it back though. Schrader pulling her down. Free kick for Wolfsburg.
Couple of those very edgy moments for Wolfsburg. They've just about got away with playing out, and obviously in the case of the goal, they didn't get away with it. They've just got to be careful that they end up conceding another goal through overplaying.
Indeed. Stefan Lurch, a vocal man on the sidelines. Henderman back now with Dijkstra. Bielda. Dijkstra. And now Kuva. Minga. Here's Enderman. Back with Janina Minga. Kuva. Knocking out to the right-hand side. Nice football. Bielda. Inside to Huth in the half space. Now back to Bielda. Johannes. Now Caitlin Dijkstra. Carrying it forwards. Shifts it wide. Bielda looked up the line. Thinking better of it though as she carries it inside. Kierland. Now with Dijkstra. Lovely little drag back and shift forwards. Huth can't hold on to it. Here's Selma Batcher. Now Diani. Wriggling her way from right to left. Bounce back by Brand. Here's Johannes. Shifting across the back line as Renard opens it out to Lawrence. Lawrence carrying forwards and Vivian Enderman just bringing her down there. Free kick now for Wolfsburg.
Yeah, again, Wolfsburg just struggling to keep up, and Enderman there. A bit of a silly foul, really, because Linda's right there. And this now presents Wolfsburg, Lyonnes with an opportunity to put the ball into the Wolfsburg penalty area. 8 minutes to go till half time. Big moments for this tie. The set pieces haven't been used brilliantly by Lyonnes yet, but can they make this one count? Batcher over it. Got to be on the money. You'd guess that they'd be aiming for Renard once again.
Yeah, you think so. Always got to be the target, really. Batcher lifting it on top of the goalkeeper. Johannes punching it away. Getting some distance on that clearance. Here's Corbin Schrader. Shimmies onto her left foot, and that deflected. Well, apparently not. That'll be a goal kick.
Not quite the ball in that Schrader was looking for. Batcher, though, put in a decent area, but just over the head of Renard, and a big punch away from Stina Johannes. Does well to meet it cleanly, punch that out of her own area.
Enderman. Now Lawrence. Heaps. Nodded on well by Schrader. Now Dijkstra. Out towards the right-hand side. Bielda. Back to Stina Johannes. Johannes lifting that ball long. Batcher. Letting it bounce through to Ingrid Engen. Renard. Making the pitch wide with a lofted pass into Diani. Lawrence now with Renard. Engen. Batcher. Wide with Eula Brand. Renard. Knocking it back to Christine Endler. Engen. Now Wendy Renard. Lawrence. Diani. Tidy from Trader. Back towards Diani now. And that's blocked well. Animal's getting across and getting in front of it.
Yeah, again, really nice move from OL Lyonnes, who will want to try and get that second goal as soon as possible. Lovely give and go between Schrader and Diani. And another corner for the home side. Can they start to finally threaten from these set pieces?
That remains the question. Ball delivered in towards the back post and headed over. Diani, I think, would have wanted to do better with that one.
Yeah, again, it's not a bad ball from Batcher, and Diani unmarked really should do better. Ends up looping it over the top of the goal, but needs to get under it and head that with a bit of pace towards Johannes in the Wolfsburg net.
Johannes playing short, under pressure here immediately though. Great pressure from Corbin Schrader, forcing the mistake from Yanina Ming.
Yeah, I think a bit of common sense has got to prevail here for Wolfsburg. You're 4 minutes out from half time. Just don't do anything silly.
Head away to Pedamos. Now Lynette Bierenstein trying to go down the line. Takes a deflection off Ash Lawrence and now by Wolfsburg throw.
Yeah, welcome throw. Just allows Wolfsburg to slow the game down.
Kierland Dijkstra wide to the right hand side. Bielda back to Caitlin Dijkstra. And now with Camilla Kuva, who's under pressure here and does try to find Bielda, but that's misplaced. Real intensity about this Lyon. I think one of the biggest criticisms of them in the first leg was a lack of energy, a lack of intensity, and Wolfsburg simply outworked them for parts of the game. But they've worked hard today. The press has been good. They've forced mistakes that haven't quite capitalised on them since the goal. Ball fed through, looking for Heaps. One back well by Wolfsburg. Renard, Diani. And now with Ashley Lawrence.
Yeah, they'd love to get that leading goal before the break. Renard here, the one out wide and delivering the ball. Not quite the way around you want it.
Johannes came to punch. Just about dealing with it. Bierenstein. Trying to carry it forwards now for Schrader. And there was power behind that, but not the accuracy once again for Corbin Schrader.
Yes, another effort of Schrader's that goes sailing over. Just can't seem to find the range at the moment. Ball spins up, but yeah, really should
settled fairly nicely though.
Should have caught that better. Just wraps her foot around it and sends it over.
Johannes lifting it forwards, Batcher bringing it down on her chest well. And now with Engen. Heaps. Wendy Renard. Engen. Into Salma Batcher. Now Schrader flicking on and one back well by Minger, who gives it away. Hegerberg looking for Brand. Poked away by Caitlin Dijkstra. Throwing for Lyonnes on the near side. Gretchen, welcome to the streams. I'm glad you guys are doing this game. I'm watching the US broadcast and the commentators' toxic positivity. I feel like everything in America is so extra, isn't it? Ball forwards. Bierenstein can't quite get there. Johannes knocking it back to Renard. Like, their negativity is so much worse, but the positives is the same. Diani through the lines and one back well.
Yeah, they're feeling it. Wolfsburg really are. It's last-ditch defending, and the clearances aren't getting enough distance on them really to relieve any pressure.
It's not on the shot yet. They're really struggling to contain Lyonnes, and they haven't got out yet once. 15 shots, 4 on target. It's been similarly wasteful from Lyonnes.
Yeah, 15 shots to none is very dominant.
Yeah, of course, but if you think back to the first leg, right, they only had 19 shots in 90 minutes. They've already had 15 shots, but they only put 3 on target there. They've only put 4 on target here. I think it's got to be more clinical. The players that they've got,
yeah,
it has to be more clinical. Wolfsburg still defending well, but there are definitely more gaps in their armour this week. Menga dispossessed. Diani goes down. This is a great position for the free kick, and they can really put Wolfsburg under pressure here. Let's have another look at it. Just late from Vivian Enderman.
Yeah, it's the second or third time Enderman's done that in this game. Just needless, really, coming back in and committing the foul. That doesn't look like we're going to get any additional time. So even more silly is that without that, the whistle probably would have gone.
Indeed. Well, can Lyonnes muster up something with what could be the last kick of the half then? Batcher and Johannes over this. Batcher dinks it in there. Not much on it. And that is the end of the first half. Not even an additional minute here. It's half time at the Groupama Stadium. OL Lyonnes 1, VfL Wolfsburg 0. Lily Johannes deflected effort. The only difference so far in this first 45. Leave us level by 1 goal apiece on aggregate.
Yeah, good 45 minutes. Lyonnes much better, much improved from the first leg, and then total control of that first 45 minutes. But this is knockout football, and they're still level on aggregate. So all to play for going into the second half. And Wolfsburg have certainly still got a say in this game, although you feel that the way the game's going, with that kind of momentum, Lyonnes would eventually find what would be a winner. But yeah, really competitive half. Well, defensively for Wolfsburg anyway. They battled well, but Lyonnes pushing on and showing their quality, even if they have been quite poor in front of goal. They have created a lot more, and yeah, have had a lot of the ball and a lot of control. Very intrigued how the second half plays out, but first half, one-way traffic really, and Lyonnes in a good position to kick on from.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Lyonnes are a marked improvement really in the performance. I mentioned there the intensity. I think that's been the biggest standout for me is that increased intensity for OL Lyonnes. I think that's something that Godaldes would have made a big point on, because I don't think they worked hard enough. And I think the midfield three was very much with that intention of that. Not only is it 3 players who are going to have that intensity, but the fact that they can also interchange positions means that you do get moments to rest. So you can drop a player deeper for a moment, and they can just settle, and someone else can go and press. And we're seeing that they're rotating those players around, and it does seem to make that intensity and that pressure a little bit more sustainable. I think what we saw in the Wolfsburg game with the first leg, was there were moments where they were jumping up really aggressively, but there were too many where it was a half-assed press, or they didn't quite have the intensity to seriously put Wolfsburg under pressure, and they allowed Wolfsburg to play out a few too many times. Tonight, there is a real intensity about their game. I think, we speak about, could OL Lyonnes be a little bit vulnerable in transitional moments? Well, if they've always got the football, no. Yeah. And that's ultimately been what they've done in this first half. 63% possession for OL Lyonnes. Wolfsburg yet to take a shot, yet to really break into the opposition half. In fact, only 13 passes in the opposition half. OL Lyonnes, for contrast, 207 in the opposition half. They have been all over Wolfsburg in this game. Where the issue still lies, though, for OL Lyonnes, and we'll get to the goal in just a moment, but is a lack of clinicality. 16 shots in that first 45, 5 shots on target, 26 touches in the opposition box. 1 big chance created, and that was missed. So while they do have the lead on the night and they are level again in the tie, it does feel like the chance they've had across both legs now, but particularly with this game in mind, they probably should have scored again.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there are a lot of chances of it have been wasted and have gone astray. You've got a lot of attacking quality. You'd expect that someone would step up, but everyone seems to be struggling to find the back of the net at the moment. I think that the midfield three have looked good, as you say. but Schrader has missed quite a few and blasted quite a few over. Hegerberg has really struggled to get in the game. Diani's looked bright, but again hasn't been able to hit the target. Hasn't been able to cause problems. Same with Brand, and that's the thing you can. It's positive, but yeah, you've got to start hitting the target more because that's the way they're going to find a winner. That's the way they're going to cause all their problems because Johannes can't save everything. They've got to put Johannes under more pressure. They've got to get shots on goal because it's all well and good having efforts, and having efforts from range. But I mean, take Schrader for example. There's 3 or 4 that should have blasted straight over the bar. Got to be better. Got to be calmer and more controlled when they get into the Wolfsburg penalty area.
Yeah, I think what we've seen as well. I think we're starting to see the makings of I mean, they've been imposed and been dominant. We're starting to see Lyonnes kicking into top gear.
Yeah.
And you'd think against sides who are perhaps a little bit more open defensively, also going very defensive, playing a 5-back, and Lyonnes are still creating chances, still moving the ball quite well. Against teams that are a little bit more open defensively, you'd think Lyonnes would have the advantage. I think it's really interesting. I mean, if they do get through from here, playing Arsenal in the semi-finals, Arsenal are a very good defensive side, so if they did set up well, that could be difficult. But I actually think right now, I would back OL Lyonnes against Barcelona potentially just because they'll have that little bit more space to utilise and perhaps then create better quality chances with. But they've got to fix the clinicality. Ultimately, they've got some of the best players in the world. For me, a lot of the clinicality comes down to latching at chances. I think we saw that in the first leg. I think it's because particularly Ada Hegerberg isn't getting a load of opportunities tonight with the way that Wolfsburg are pairing Kuva on her. It's very difficult for her to get contact on the ball, to win aerials, to be physical when you're up against someone like Kuva who is just all over you. She's big, she's physical, she's tall, she's got this huge frame, so she's able to tower over you and then just lean around you to make tackles, and it's very difficult to deal with.
Yeah, it's helpful for Wolfsburg because it just takes Hegerberg out of the game. But yeah, as a striker, it must be so frustrating because you think you're going to get to something and then suddenly this centre half comes out of nowhere and suddenly you're taken out of the game. And that worked last week for Wolfsburg because no one else really stepped up in the absence. But tonight, players have delivered and they're taking Hegerberg out of the game well, and Hegerberg would have wanted to be involved more, but other players around her have looked brighter, which has massively helped.
It's been a more selfless performance, allowing Johannes and Schrader, I think, to be more involved in attacking areas. The problem is then you're giving your best shooting opportunities, though, to 2 players who aren't particularly goal scorers. I know, of course, Johannes scored, but it did take a big deflection. So, yeah, it's been interesting to watch so far. Mentioning Kuva there, though, and how good she's been, how much was she at fault for the first goal?
Yeah, I just can't really understand what she's trying to do. I get that Stefan Lerch wants his side to play out and be brave when they can, but that early on in a Champions League quarter-final where you're already head on aggregate, all she needs to do is clear her lines. For some reason, she tries to swivel out and spin past Diani to get out of trouble, and she gets pounced on. They lose the ball, and eventually Lyonnes work it to score. But I just can't understand that decision. She's just got to put her foot through it. At that point in the game, you don't need to be spinning and trying to spin out of trouble. Just put your foot through it, clear the ball, and deal with get your team up the pitch. I get they're trying to take risks because with risk comes reward. If she gets out there, they've got an overload and they're in. But I just think it wasn't worth taking that risk at that point in the game, and obviously now we can see that has punished them and it's cost them. And it's a big error to make. It's not one they needed. They didn't need. Of course, it's forced by the press, but it's unforced in terms of she should just clear it and decides to spin and gets it wrong. But yeah, will be frustrating for her because apart from that, she's played very well. She's been really good at defending the corners and defending set pieces, and overall, once again, has kept Hegerberg quiet.
Yeah, I think Hegerberg's really struggled to have as much of an impact on this game as perhaps she would have wanted to. I think Wolfsburg would have been very much aware of how much of a problem she was for them earlier this season. So yeah, it's clearly been a focus for them, but yeah, I think they've done enough, really, haven't they? Wolfsburg to quieten her, and that has worked quite effectively. Gretchen says, I'm starting to wonder whether the ground is going to have success outside of Spain. Maybe expects competence in skills other cultures don't train at an early age. I mean, to be fair, in one season at Washington Spirit, he reached the final. that's not too bad. I mean, when we think back to him in the Champions League final, Barcelona, they got to the Champions League final in his first season. They lost that. They then went and won it in his second season. I think they'd have gone on to do great things, really, if he decided to take Washington Spirit. Ultimately, it wasn't the greatest fit for him. I think the NWSL was a lot less tactical a league. It's a league that's a lot more reliant on the physical side of the game, and so I think there wasn't much for Giraldes to do. I think he didn't enjoy it as much as a league where perhaps he would have where it is more tactical, and I think that would be more interesting to him. But I mean, ultimately, Lyonnes is his chance at the Champions League once again, and to prove himself. But I think they're in a position they can win it this year, and I would expect that if not, they'd be in the same position next year. I don't think there's any question marks around the I guess the skills of Jonathan Giraldes. If there was, and Lyonnes sacked him, there would be many clubs lining up to sign him. I think. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if Chelsea considered him as an option. Manchester United, that would be incredible.
Wow.
But yeah, no, I don't see him leaving Lyonnes anytime soon. I think he wants to win that Champions League again. He is driven by winning the Champions League all the time. And yeah, he'll want to prove himself outside of that Barcelona environment. I think he showed that. I think he did a good job with NWSL. I think he showed that at Washington Spirit. But ultimately, they didn't quite get it over the line. And yeah, I don't think it was the greatest cultural fit. But I think in France, at Lyonnes, they've shown a commitment to investing in him. They've shown a commitment to investing in the type of player that he's going to want. If that continues into the summer, which I mean, it's Michel Kang, I'd be very surprised if it didn't. But if that continues, then I eventually Giraldes is going to win the Champions League. But yeah, we'll see. Oscar, yeah, Josh, I was mentioning the Johannes thing. Because you say their first name to distinguish. Yes, I have been trying to throughout commentary. But I mean, if Johannes is attacking, I would assume it's the American. Until about the 99th minute, then maybe we maybe we start to think it might be for Wolfsburg. But yeah. What do Wolfsburg do in this second half? Is there anything they can change? Because it does just feel we're waiting for the inevitable now of another Lyonnes goal.
Yeah, it's very difficult for them because you say it feels like that goal's coming, but it would also be very risky to go aggressive and try and get a goal themselves because that leaves you more open. They're in a difficult spot. I think in an ideal world, it would still be 0-0 at half time. That would have been the game plan from Stefan Lerch, get into the break at 0-0 and then go again. Now they've got to find. It's horrible. I think it's a horrible one to get right because how do they balance? Trying to, because they don't have a shot, so they've got to be more positive. They have to try and find a way to get themselves out because they're under too much pressure defensively. They've got to get players like Bierenstein and Enderman into the game because they've really struggled to get involved. So that's a big thing. Is that they've got to get the ball forward. They've got to get some shots off. But they've got to be defensive. I think they've got to be more positive. For me, it's a simple case of I think that attack is the best form of defense. If they get players like Enderman and Bierenstein on the ball, then not only is that going to get them up the pitch to have shots, but it just takes pressure off the team. Even if they can just get a ball over the top, get Enderman in, and either she scores or win a corner or something, just to take the pressure off for a couple of minutes will do. All it takes is one chance and to get the goal. But I think that, being more positive, got to go more direct. I think they've tried to play out, doesn't work. Be more direct. Back Bierenstein to hold it up. Back Enderman to get in behind. And just try and get yourselves in the game a bit more. Because right now, that they have the ball, they try and play out, lose it. Lyonnes come forwards. They have the attack. Wolfsburg get the ball back again, try and play out, lose it, and they're just getting bogged down. I think they've got to be brave. They've got to be braver in terms of just clear the ball and be aggressive. Look to get players in behind. Of course you're risking it. You're losing the ball there, but I think at least if you lose it there, Lyonnes have got the ball on the halfway line rather than on the edge of your own area.
Yeah, they're definitely struggling to play out more. I think Penemos and Keelan have got on the ball a lot less. I think decision making in the final third has also been a bit of an issue. I think you look at the two chances really that Bierenstein's got on the ball, and I think making the wrong decisions in both those moments. Without that, maybe they do get a shot away. Maybe they do make something happen. So, Yeah, Jackie says, who should Leon sign? Some midfielders, I would say. Players who are great on the ball, players who are good at. So either you look then at Spanish players who are really good at possessing the football, or you look at someone like an Elisa Sens. Maybe you look at players who played under Godades previously. So I mean, like Alexa Putellas could be a great option. She's available this summer at the moment on a free. She hasn't signed a new contract yet with FC Barcelona. So yeah, maybe that's something they could consider. Maybe someone like a Teresa Abelera. I mean, I know she's been out for a while with an ACL. If she does return for the end of the season, though, could that be an option this summer? They just need players who are, I think, better at possessing the ball, a bit more creative. I think what's lacking, I mean, looking at Caroline Weir, I think that's a great signing.
Yeah.
Adding a bit of creativity in midfield. I think that's what the midfield is lacking. I love Melchi Dumonet, but I don't think she's the best creator. More of an out-and-out goal scorer. I believe Hegerberg's contract up for renewal this summer. I would expect they will let Ada Hegerberg go, and then next season have Katoto and Dumonet as their two strikers. If not, I wouldn't be surprised if there were suitors for Melchi Dumonet. But I mean, she's a fantastic footballer. They would be stupid to let her go. But you have so many fantastic footballers, it could be difficult to fit them all in. As Loka says, this coming summer is going to be so competitive. Lots of transfer business expected. But yeah, that's a long way off. Still, a lot of football to be playing. Still 45 minutes here at the Groupama Stadium. Can Lyonnes complete the comeback? Or will Wolfsburg turn this tie back on its head? But it is Wolfsburg to get us back underway here. Huth from the middle knocks it back to Kuva. And we're back underway. 45 more minutes to try and separate these two sides. Currently level on aggregate. As it stands, we would be headed to extra time for the first time in this Champions League so far. Here's Dijkstra. Could we get all the way in this extended version now of the Champions League, all the way to semis without going to extra time? As it stands, no. Here's Brand. Cuts it across the box, and Johannes lets it run. Diani gives chase and does get to the ball on the far side. Needs some support now. Heaps. Diani. That was a bit of a difficult ball to deal with. It spills favourably. Hegerberg holds on to it. Brand. Johannes. Not the space for the shot. Tidy footwork from Lily Johannes, but running herself into trouble. And Bielda getting it clear. Enderman, who's strapped up her knee. Not thigh. Does seem to have some sort of issue there, but getting on the ball. Can't quite hold on to it.
Yeah, very important that Wolfsburg come out and look bright from the off. Don't allow Lyonnes to get back into their rhythm. Don't allow Lyonnes to get back on top, as easily as that. Wolfsburg have got to come out and react a little bit in this second half, and just a bit of a tap on the shoulder to Lyonnes, really, is saying, we're in this game too, Even though that, I think Stefan Lerch, the first shout is going to be have a shot.
Indeed. Corner now then for Lyonnes. Batcha slashing it into Bielda. Now a chance once again to put pressure on the area. Batcha will take it. This will be an outswinger then. And actually we'll let Johannes come and take it, which I think makes more sense. We're having a bit more joy with the in-swinging deliveries.
Yeah.
Batcha is there and they do take it short. Batcha back to Johannes, who could shoot from here and lifts it towards goal, just wide at the far post. Don't mind that from Lily Johannes.
Yeah.
No one really reacted here for Wolfsburg.
Yeah, like it. It's inventive. And Lily Johannes just afforded too much space to bend that goalwards. And it was Minga who was the one at the far post that nearly got a touch on it. But yeah, Lily Johannes caught that nicely. Wolfsburg get away with one there. Still trying to play out. Although that is a bit more direct. Don't mind that. As I say, I think they've just got to try and get the ball forwards. Try and get the ball up the pitch.
Chamador says, who will Hegerberg go to this summer? London City, ?
Oh, wow. Imagine that.
I wouldn't be surprised. It feels to me that she'll either go and be a rotation player at another elite team. So someone like, Real Madrid, PSG, not elite team, but that lower bracket. Could would Wolfsburg bring her in? They need to bring in a top quality striker to replace Bjornstein. Here's Johannes, plays it across, cut out by Kuva. But I think she'll either do that or go somewhere completely random like Qatar. So, like I think Eugenie Lassamera is at Damak, isn't she? Which I want to say is Saudi or Qatar, something like that. Brand's leaving one there on Vivian Enderman, deemed too aggressive. That will be a free kick just coming in, and yeah. You can use your body to shield the ball, but that's just lumping into Enderman and taking the ball away.
Yeah, a bit too aggressive from Brand. But again, it's positive from Lyonnes, and Wolfsburg playing out under all kinds of pressure here.
Yeah, played him. I thought that was going to be a corner there. They get away with it.
That is a mess. Absolute mess.
Phil, what was the stream this evening? Oh, how's this game been going? One-way traffic, really. Lyonnes are finding their groove. Wolfsburg have defended well, but they've made some mistakes. Ball in now looking for Hegerberg. Kuva gets there. A corner to follow, is it? I mean, apparently not. And Lyonnes are not happy about that at all. And I have to say, I understand their frustration.
I mean, that had quite clearly left the pitch.
Yeah. By some distance.
Yeah, definitely. Last touch of Wolfsburg player and definitely left the pitch. So
can't stand there. Ada Hegerberg and Lindsay Heaps not happy. They know corners can be a huge weapon for them. Play does restart now. And Zantek says, guys, nice picture of Yui on the wall. Huge fan. I'm taking, you mean of Yui Hasegawa, but yes, we do have Hasegawa up on the wall. All in behind. Fantastic footballer is Yui Hasegawa. And of course, we'll be back in the Champions League next season. Man City over the weekend confirmed qualification for next year's Champions League. Albeit only the qualifiers for now, what we'd expect as they win the title in the next few weeks. Of course, we'll give them Champions League qualification for next year. It's going to be quite interesting to see. I mean, if it is to be Arsenal, Chelsea and Man City, all teams with high coefficients for England, obviously United in the competition this year, seeded in Group 3 or Pot 3 due to the fact that they hadn't played in the Champions League before. Didn't have much of a coefficient to speak of. But City's is slightly more substantial. Schrader. Down, he can't quite get there. Poked away and out for a Lyonnes throw-in.
Yeah, I mean, second half was kind of carried on like the first half ended. Doesn't feel like we really had a half time. Just felt like it's continued through.
Brown trying to come forwards. Needing support. Bielda stands her up well. Says, how old is Hegerberg now? Always think she's 35 plus. I think it's close to 30. Yeah, it's 30 on the dot, Ada Hegerberg. So she's still got a good few years left, you'd think. But she plays like an older player. I think she's been around for so long now. Players that break through younger do tend to retire earlier.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, she could absolutely get them. I mean, maybe an NWSL payday, but I don't think she's got the physicals for that. But yeah, could absolutely play for Real Madrid or PSG. A team like that. Maybe even a Bayern as a backup to Harder. Bielda shielding it out well.
Better from Bielda. That's the kind of intelligent defending we saw in the first leg.
Yeah.
Just reading the game well and being physical and just runs Brand out of play. Moments like that Wolfsburg have missed today. Yeah, it's been a bit sloppy and a bit panicky, but that was much more composed and stronger from Bielda.
Dijkstra. Now wide with Enderman, a pass back inside and so much space here. Kierland trying to knock it out to the right and Engen picking it off. Got to be a better pass there from Justine Kierland.
Should be frustrated. That was brilliant football from Wolfsburg.
All through the lines. Brand clips it in there. Dealt with well by Kuva. Out though for another corner.
And that just shows how you can get punished. But really good football from Wolfsburg playing out. But the pass from Kierland wasn't on the money. And Lyonnes nicked the ball. And suddenly they're right at the other end. And yeah, another corner for Lyonnes to put more pressure on. Ninth corner of the game now for OL Lyonnes.
Batcher lifting it towards the back post. That's cleared away. Falls though for Schrader on the edge, who fires through the crowd of bodies. Johannes making a good claim.
Yeah, again, that's the third or fourth time it's fallen to Schrader on the edge. This time she does keep the volley down, but yes, straight into the gloves of Sina Johannes.
And now Wendy Renard was down with an injury after that. A bit of a melee in the penalty area.
Yeah, didn't see why or what happened to her. Here we go, get a replay. I can't quite see her here.
Just seems the thing to get sandwiched in there. Or is it?
Oh, is it a bit hard? So, don't think it happened in that move there. I think it happened later on. But it doesn't seem to be anything bad or malicious. And Renard is back to her feet. Yeah, it still feels that goal's going to come at some point for Lyonnes. I mean, even if Wolfsburg can hold on for the next 35 minutes, can they then do it for another half an hour in extra time? Difficult. Yeah. Let's see, long way to go. A lot of football replay before we even have to entertain that kind of thought.
Absolutely. Lars, who do you think's been the best player in the WSL this season? Either Hasegawa or Shaw. I think either would be very suitable answers.
It's Khadija Shaw, isn't it? She's got 18 goals. Honourable mention to Kirsty Hansen, though, with her 12.
Yeah, but...
No.
Let's just see.
Yeah. Oh, of course. It could be like Kasperai is another shout.
Brands, yeah, I think Kasperai's been phenomenal.
Mm.
Johannes does well. Gino as well. Batcher driving inside with the ball. Hegerberg flick to Brand. Options now in the box. Brand trying to cut it back. Blocked well by Ella Pedimos. Now a corner now for OL Lyonnes.
Into the double digits then. 4 corners. It's good from Heats. A lovely little back here around the corner. And a vital intervention from Pedimos to stop the cutback from Eula Brand. Meeting anybody in a black Lyonnes shirt. But again, the set pieces are piling on now. And Wolfsburg are under more and more pressure as this game goes on.
What can they make happen from this set piece? Lyonnes ball bounces through. Falls now for
Oh, wow.
Oh, what a save. Stina Johannes gets up to it well. And a strong hand to palm it over the bar.
Brilliant stop from Stina Johannes. Caught nicely on the volley by Batcher, but met brilliantly by Johannes.
Johannes lifting it back in there, bounces through and bounces out for a goal kick.
Yeah, another good delivery. Yeah, that first one flicked on at the front post by Engen. Batcher on the volley, and that is a phenomenal save. Stina Johannes, that's ridiculously good. From close range as well. Yeah, that's phenomenal. Wolfsburg playing out again. They're just getting caught. They're playing themselves into trouble. And I'm really surprised that the message hasn't shifted to just be a bit director. A bit more direct. A bit more direct. Just to be a bit safer.
Coming down the line. Schrader tries to cut it across. He had a play though. That would be another Wolfsburg goal kick. As we approach the hour mark. Oh no, sorry, it will be a corner. Schrader was jogging away there. I thought that was jogging back to position, but she was just getting to the edge of the area. So, Lyonnes over this again then with the corner. And it will be Batcher for an in-swinger once more towards the back post. Headed away well by Yanina Minger. And Enderman picking up on the loose ball. Trying to carry this forward. Schrader comes across well. Brilliant recovery pace from Corbin Schrader. And catches up to Enderman. Heaps. Now Johannes. go down the line, Lily Johannes. Blocked well by Linda.
Yeah, 11 corners, Lyonnes. How they haven't scored from a single one yet, I really don't know.
It does feel an inevitability, doesn't it?
Mm.
That OL Lyonnes will find a goal.
You don't have that many corners in a game, and not if they keep getting this amount of corners, they'll score from one eventually. I get it's difficult to be in Stefan Lurch's position because on one hand, yeah, you can sense that goal's coming, but at the end of the day, you're still level.
You can't go for it.
Yeah, that you don't want to risk changing something and then you do concede. But right now, are they just sitting there, kind of waiting to concede? It's a really difficult time to judge, and they can break here.
To Beerenstein draws the foul of Johannes, and that should be a yellow card for the American, and it will be. Brilliant work from Lynette Beerenstein, just relieving the pressure there, drawing the foul.
Yeah, that is where experience pays dividends. Beerenstein knows she hasn't got the pace advantage, so she just runs across Johannes and draws the foul. And yeah, first yellow card of the evening then to Lily Johannes. But yeah, as you say, that just gets Wolfsburg 15 yards further up the pitch, takes the pressure off for a minute.
Need to get forward, need to get a shot away. They are now going for a slight change in midfield. Then Janu Label's coming on for Justine Kierland.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
Yeah, I don't think it's been Kierland's game at all. I was super impressed with that last week, but I just think with the intensity of the midfield, she hasn't really been able to run, and a great carrier, but yeah, hasn't had that freedom.
Mm.
And I just think has struggled really to get involved. Labels will come in there and to offer a bit more energy.
Yeah,
fresh legs. Huth around the corner. Bielda chopping inside now with Dijkstra. Bielda brought down. Gretchen says every minute Lyon don't score adds pressure to them though. But not really with extra time looming. If it was 1-0, Wolfsburg still, then absolutely. But they know they can get it done in extra time if not.
I think it's a really weird position for both teams to be in, because Wolfsburg, in the position they're in, are happy to go to extra time because they're under pressure. Lyonnaise also know that, yes, they'd like to score in the next half an hour, but if they don't, it's not a massive concern because they are the side on top.
Batcher, lovely pass into Johannes. Johannes lifting it to Schrader. Schrader looking forwards. A good chance from Sarai Linda, though. And she now squeezes it forwards to Pedimors. Pedimors trying to feed the right-hand side quickly. But it's just hit too early and too much power.
Right idea. She did everything right, but then just didn't look up and rushed it and played it aimlessly. Whereas if she looked up, she could have found either Beerenstein or Huth quite easily.
Yeah.
Yeah, this has just been a couple minutes, and this is exactly what Wolfsburg need to do. That's a couple minutes where Beerenstein won the free kick, then they had the sub, and then they just got on the ball, and that's a couple minutes gone by.
Yeah, and they've started to get more involved in this game. Batcher. Still, they need to have a shot.
Yeah.
Johannes. Brand to Batcher. Brings it down. Good defending.
Even if
Yanina Minga comes across.
Even if someone has a pot shot from 40 yards, just have a shot.
Batcher. Brand. Batcher. Ball in. Hegerberg headed on. And Lawrence does really well to keep it in play. Coming forwards now, Ashley Lawrence tries to get around the defender, Linda, but has carried off the field of play.
Yeah, did well. I'm glad they got to the right decision there, because I don't think the referee or the assistant were very short.
Zato asks, says, haven't heard Heaps mentioned, asking, is she playing still? Just playing as that deeper player at the moment is Lindsay Heaps. Hasn't been too involved in the play. It does feel like a lot of the game is bypassing her at the moment. There's Enderman, side down there by Eula Brand. Play allowed to continue though. Hegerberg dropping deep to receive. Now Heaps. Batcher. Johannes. Engen. Johannes across to Wendy Renard. Lawrence, Schrader, Diani. And now Heaps plays it forwards. A good challenge in there. And Janu Levels able to get back in. Pedamores. Levels carrying the ball forwards. Acres to work with, really. Shifted inside. Levels trying to force that ball forwards to Lynette Wierenstein and gifting possession, really. Back to Lyonnes.
But they're just starting to play out, Wolfsburg. Just a couple of times they managed to break through that initial line of press.
Ball long here, and it's something for Eula Brand to chase. Bielda's going to get there, and Shields out of play. Smart play from the fullback.
Yeah, again, really good from Bielda, who's just had the Brand, I think, had the better of her in the first half, but I think that second half been much better from Bielda, who is now hobbling a little bit, but has done very well to just contain Brand.
That's the other thing about this defensive display from Wolfsburg is they're actually missing quite a few key defenders, particularly Kleinherner and Wedemeyer, players who probably would have featured heavily if they weren't injured.
Yeah.
Ball down the line. And here is Eula Brand. Wants to take on Bielda. Bielda stands her up well. Now for a goal kick.
Yeah, again, exactly what we're talking about. Bielda just having the upper hand in that battle at the moment. And it's just stunting Lyonnes a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is... The thing is, though, it doesn't really change until Wolfsburg start getting forwards a little bit more consistently and actually have a shot. We've played 65 minutes, they haven't had a shot. That's got to change.
Ball in, looking for Hegerberg. Bounces through. And out for a goal kick again. It does feel like Lyonnes are starting to get into throwing the kitchen sink territory, which it feels a little bit bizarre because they're still, I know they want to get it done in normal time. That would be a huge help for them, but they've still level and they've still got all of a potential extra time period to get it done.
They're rushing it a little bit and it's just playing into Wolfsburg's hands.
Heaps, Batcher can't quite keep it. Bierenstein does well to keep that on the field of play. And now Bielda. Pedamores, Kuva. Brought down in there.
Superb. Superb from Wolfsburg to play out of that.
That's lovely footballers. Again, nice passage.
And I think those passages, this is becoming a little bit closer to what we saw in the first leg. But those passages for Wolfsburg are just starting to come off.
Yeah.
They were struggling to play out in the first half, but in the second half, they've been much better. And I mean, obviously the intensity of the Lyonnes press has dropped off a little bit because we are 6 minutes through. And I think Geraldes is reacting to that. Oh no, they're just coming over to receive tactical instruction.
Yeah, treating this really as a tactical direction. So it's Sarah Linda, came across there and got brought down. Yeah, just falls horribly and then gets caught in the face by Lindsay Heaps.
Yeah, I think Wolfsburg will be feeling a little positive.
Yeah.
I mean, I still can't believe they've gone 67 minutes of a Champions League quarter-final without having a shot. But they don't need to, as it stands.
I think they'll
get
they
chances.
kind of do eventually if they want to win this tie.
Well, do they though? Because they can get all the way through the penalties.
It's true.
They'll be the first side to win a quarter-final without a shot.
Well, they were good in the first leg.
They were.
Well, Lyonnes need a goal. And they're turning to their substitutes. Melty Dumonet and Mary Antoinette Katoto. That's got to be up there for the best double substitution I have ever... Oh, sorry, triple substitution. Because Tabitha Chawinga's coming off the field of play as well. Johannes makes way. Hegerberg makes way. And you would assume, as does Eula Brand. So Jawinga onto the left wing. Dumonet into midfield. Katoto will lead the line.
I'm sorry, that's absurd.
That has to be the best triple sub I've ever seen. How are Katoto, Dumoulin, and Chewinga on your bench?
that is just absurd.
Michel Kang. That is outrageous.
That's the change, though. That's Lyonnes' change to win this game.
Yeah.
Can they get?
Don't worry, because if they do need a goal, they've still got Vicky Becco.
Oh, just in case.
Just in case that triple change wasn't enough. Chewinga. Heaps. And now Salma Batcher. Renard. And now Engen looking at her forward options. Batcher holding the width well. Swings in the delivery. Not bad. Headed away. That was important from Dijkstra to get that one clear. Linda under pressure from Diani. Diani trying to win it back and a little overzealous again there. Diani just catching Saro Linda.
Yeah, that's been the other shift in this second half. I mentioned it with Bielda on Brand, but Linda as well on Diani. The fullbacks for Wolfsburg have had the better of the wingers in the second half.
Yeah. That's why they made the changes.
Yeah.
Hegerberg's not really been in the game again. And Dumoulin just gives you a more attacking outlet there. Could have been quite messy had she not been able to collect that. Engen. Now Wendy Renard. Stepping forwards. Katoto drops to receive. Bounces back to Heaps. Renard again. Knocks it wide. Diani. Nice footwork. Goes down the line. Here's Melchi Dumoulin. Back inside to Diani. Tidy from the Haitian inside. Now to Katoto, who spins and it's blocked. And it bobbles through to Stina Johannes.
Yeah, again, better from Lyonnes, but Wolfsburg won't mind that deflected effort just rolling its way through to the goalkeeper.
Kevin asks, is Tabata's sister a better player? It's hard to compare because we've only seen Temwa Chewinga in the NWSL, right? Or at least we haven't seen her in Europe for a while. But I've watched a lot more of Tabata than I have Temwa. So yeah, I would say Tabata for now, but Temwa's been incredible in the NWSL. Pull down the right-hand side, here's Diani. Blocked well, and out now for a Lyonnes corner.
Yeah, I think the triple change, unsurprisingly, is having a bit of an effect on this game.
Yeah.
They're doing well. Lyonnes also doing well to manage, but you feel it's coming. 19 minutes with that front four that's on the pitch now for Lyonnes. You feel that the goal's coming, but who knows?
Ball in from Batcher. Headed goalwards and headed wide. Wendy Renard just couldn't quite find the target with that one.
Yeah, it's the first one that she's really managed to connect with. But just past the far post, not a bad header. But, yeah, Wolfsburg once again will be happy to watch that sail on through. I have to say, so the commitment to still playing out from Wolfsburg is impressive. And it's the third time this game in the game now where the referee's pulled out Lyonnes up for encroaching into the box before the goal kick's been taken. It's very rare that you see that ever get pulled up on or ever be caught. But yeah, it's the third time now.
Ref is a stickler for the rules. Dijkstra lifting it forwards, nodded inside well by Huth. Beardenstein's going to get there and still coming forwards here. Beardenstein, I think it's been pulled back. I think it's indeed a foul on Samuel Batcher.
Yeah. think Lyonnes were complaining that Hoof might kept in play of her elbow, which she did.
A few infringements there. Geraldes very adamant it was the elbow. Must not know the French word for elbow, though. Renard. Here's Lawrence. Knocks out Dumornay. Katoto. Ball forwards. And a chance now. Chewinga can't quite get there. Katoto can't quite get there. And Kuva gets it clear. And Enderman breaking away. Dumornay tries to get back in there. Enderman and Dumornay clashing aggressively. And Enderman then getting a fairly egregious foul on Wendy Renard.
Not a bad foul that from Enderman at all. Just allows everyone to get back in. But what an intervention from Bielda up the other end to stop Chewinga on the turn. And Kuva does well to beat Katoto to it.
Should have played it, really, Chewinga. That was a great opportunity. Engen feeding through the lines. Chewinga's going to get there. Bielda gets back in. Good defending again from the fullback.
Yeah. She did really hard to contain Brand in the second half. But to be putting up with Chewinga who's just come off the bench is equally as impressive. Lyonnes still pushing for what would probably be the winner with 15 minutes to go.
Batcher now back on corner duty on the left-hand side with Johannes off. And so an outswinger on this occasion. Batcher. Not a bad delivery. Headed goalwards by Heaps. Headed off the line. Huth can't quite clear her lines. So it's Schrader who picks up the ball now. Batcher. Forced backwards and a misplaced pass, which Vivian Enderman picks up on. Clears into Schrader. Throw in for Wolfsburg.
Yeah, again, elements like that of the game management, Enderman understanding, rather than trying to play or do something with it. Best option is just to clear it into the opposing player, win a throw, and just take the pace out of the game.
Quarter of an hour to go then in this game, and Bielda's going to look up the line. Flicked on by Berenstein, and that is out for a Lyonnes throw-in. Bernard. Spreading the play, looking for Ashley Lawrence. Options down the line. Lawrence plays it inside. Dumornay. Engen. Schrader loses out, and here come Wolfsburg. One back in there well by Corvin Schrader. Katoto, Schrader, Batcher. Here's Heaps. Katoto, Batcher. Chewinga. Pass inside. And it's picked off well in there by Wolfsburg. Bielda. Battling away with Tabitha Chewinga. Ball down the line. Huth knocking it further down the line. And Berenstein can't quite get there as Engen comes across well. Here's Renard. Heaps. Renard. Diani. Tries to spin away from Janu Levels. Renard. And now Dumornay. Ball into the area. Nodded on and will bounce on through. Cine Johannes claiming without issue.
I mean, I'm feeling the tension as a neutral. I couldn't imagine being a fan of one of these two sides right now.
Yeah, I still just feel like it's got to come eventually, hasn't it, for Lyonnes? But
Yeah.
Wolfsburg gets the other side coming forwards now, and the space opens up. Pedamore spread to the right-hand side. Huth lifting it across. Enderman takes a touch. He's in it. Vivian Enderman. What a save. Charged down bravely by Christine Endler, who makes herself big. And that is a big stop from the Lyonnes goalkeeper. Lovely breakaway move. The right decisions. Great ball from Huth. And Vivian Enderman fired into the face of Christine Endler.
What a save from Endler. Wolfsburg with their first shot of the game very nearly put themselves in front. What a save from Ender. It's a brilliant breakaway. And that will be Enderman's last contribution.
Almost the definition of smash and grab. But it doesn't quite come off. Wolfsburg with possession high up the pitch. Here's Zikai, who's just entered the fray. One back well, though, by Lyonnes. Renard. Katoto. And now Diani. Headed into no man's land, and Dumonet can't quite get there. A good work from Chawinga to recover possession. Heaps. Engen. Bounced back by Katoto. Here's Heaps again. And to Engen. Looking left. Has options inside. If she can squeeze a pass in the pocket. It's picked off by Huth. And she knocks it now, looking for Beerenstein. Renard comes across well. And Batcher can't keep it in play. Wolfsburg throw in.
Yeah, that Wolfsburg chance just feels like a bit of a tap on the shoulder. That, yes, they have not threatened much in this game, but they have the quality to stun Lyonnes hit. And again, they've done so well in this second half. Although they've again still been under pressure, but it's been a much more competitive second half. They have done so well to work their way back into this game. Because, and it still feels somewhat inevitable, but in that first half, it felt like the second goal was always going to come. But especially the last half an hour, they've done very well to just start to level the playing field a little bit. Get more of the ball, get higher up the pitch, make things happen.
Out towards the left-hand side for Wolfsburg. Now Dijkstra. Wide into Bielda. Going back to Kamia Kuva. Bielda flicks around the corner. Dijkstra pokes down the line. One back by Batcher. And now Heaps. And Renard looks to go along with it. One back well by Kuva. Held up by Beerenstein. Now with Ella Pedamos. Quite find Beerenstein. It's one back well by Lyonnes. Here's Heaps. Batcher. Carrying it forwards. Huth trying to make life difficult here for Salma Batcher. Batcher spins inside. Chawinga. And now a shot that's blocked for Schrader. Schrader tries to keep things alive with Heaps. Heaps out to Renard. Heaps lifts it towards the back post. Headed up in the air and cleared away by Zikai. And now Dumonet. Lawrence lifts it in towards the back post. And that will bounce on through. And out for a goal kick. 9 minutes before we're headed into extra time. And Lyonnes prepare the double change. Vicky Becco and Damara Segurola. And that will be the end of the evening for Lindsay Heaps, who's had a slightly different role tonight. That more defensive midfield player. Segurola on into that position. And Vicky Becco into the attacking line. You would assume Kadadiatel Diani the casualty then. And it is indeed Diani who makes way.
Yeah, massive moments now.
They've both got to push for it, really.
Yeah.
Well, Lyonnes are going to push for it, you'd assume. And Wolfsburg have to try and take advantage of that. Good pressure high up the pitch there. From Egolola. Wolfsburg with this deep throw in then. Linda's going to look up the line. Taking her time here, Sarai Linda, the referee, beckoning her to get a move on. Egolola. Schrader can't get the flick on. Egolola. Now Engen. Batcher fires one from range, straight down the throat of Stina Johannes.
Don't mind that at this stage from Batcher. Why not? Found herself a bit of room, kept it down, put it on target. Johannes, though, does well to just nothing.
Kuva under pressure. Makes a poor pass. Throwing now on the far side. Dumonet gets away. Now puts it in there. Kuva clears. Falls to the edge where Damara Tagarola will hold on to the ball. Engen. Pass wide now. With Dumonet. Lawrence lifts it into the box. Brought down by Katoto. Poked out wide again. Batcher. Blocked by Huth. Corner now for Lyonnes.
Yeah, you feel like this is what it's going to be for the final 6 minutes here. Lyonnes pushing for the winner and Wolfsburg just dropping in and defending. Plenty of corners for Lyonnes tonight. Can they finally make one count?
Batcher delivers it to Renard. Header on target. Blocked away. And Berenstein clears our lines. And it drops now for Lawrence. Schrader. Wide into Batcher. Batcher looks down the line. Chawinga an option. Batcher poise. Tries to find Egarola. Great defending from Berenstein. But it's picked on her pass. Chawinga across the box. Kuba doesn't deal. But it bounces over Wendy Renard. Lyonnes keep possession. Dumonet. Brought down by Zikai. Free kick in a good position now.
Clumsy from Zikai. Didn't need to do it. And has given Lyonnes a great chance now from this set piece. Dumonet was readying for the shot. Maybe not a terrible decision to bring her down there.
As Ato says, I feel like a Toto header coming. And Derek says, love the channel, boys. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks everyone that's tuned in this evening. It's been fantastic to see so much support on 2 matches that are between non-English teams. Tell Batcher what to be in the wall there.
She just marked it out with the referee. She walked the 10 yards saying that the wall was too close. But yeah, Bayern Munich left it late to crush United hearts when they thought they were going to extra time. What have Lyonnes got in the locker?
Batcher. Over this one. Is there a late winner? From Salma Batcher. Takes aim. Batcher fires across goal. What a save. Stina Johannes. What a fantastic save. Gets across the frame of her goal and tips it wide. And it took a deflection there off Svenja Hoof, which made life even more difficult for their goalkeeper.
Superb.
Chawinga delivers it low. Trying to catch out Wolfsburg, but it's cleared away. A nice routine, but it's Zikai who's carrying it forwards. One back by Batcher. Should have looked right. Losing out with possession. Here comes Labels. Now to Bielda. Launches it forwards. And it's cleared the other direction. Bounces through to Katoto, who's going to lift it over the top. It's Becco bearing in on goal. A heavy touch, though. And that just escaping from Vicky Becco. It's a great ball from Katoto. And this, a heavy touch from Becco.
Yeah. Missed opportunity. As you say, brilliant ball over the top of Katoto. And Bielda thought about making the foul, decided against it. And yeah, Becco just with a heavy touch running through to Stina Johannes.
Crucial moments in the ties. In the first leg, Vivian Enderman, that heavy touch against Endler could have doubled their advantage. That might have been enough for Wolfsburg. And there for Vicky Becco. Could have given them what would almost certainly be a winner at this stage.
Yeah, no nonsense defending now from Wolfsburg. Everything's getting cleared out of play.
Egarola. And now to Engen. Batcher on the left-hand side, finding space for the cross. Who stands her up well. Batcher bursts in on top of Johannes. Good claim from the Wolfsburg goalkeeper. Who will settle with her hands on the ball. Rolls to the left-hand side. Minga, Linda. Going to drive into her own penalty area here. Sarai Linda, but has the confidence. The pass, though, doesn't find Bielda. Picked off by Batcher. One back by Huth. And Dijkstra clips it to Berenstein. Nice turn for the Dutch forward. Finds Ella Pedamors, her compatriot. And now into Levels. Pedamors with Egarola on her back finds Kuva, who shifts it wide. Bielda down the line. Huth in the half space. Back to Bielda, who wants to come forwards, but it's won back by Chawinga. Egarola lifting it down the line. That's going to bounce through. Dijkstra giving chase as it goes for a throw-in. And she's knocked it right up the line there. Taking liberty with the position of this throw-in.
Worth a try. They don't want to get boxed in here with a minute to go normal time. There hasn't been that many stoppages, though. So I can't see us getting a lengthy additional time period.
Oh, and we know UEFA wants this to go to extra time. Bielda. Batcher. To Katoto. Batcher. Carrying forwards and running into Bielda. And the referee beckoning her to her feet.
Yeah, good decision. Really good decision. Very easy to fall for that. But Batcher, yeah, just runs into Bielda. And this will help Lyonnes' cause. Yeah. Just assertive from Bielda. Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, looking back at this free kick, Batcher caught it nicely. And yeah, that is a phenomenal save from Stine Johannes.
Such an important moment in the context of this tie. Stine Johannes pulling off a massive save. And we've got 5 additional minutes. Zikai keeping that in touch. Lawrence can't win it back. It's Cora Zikai now. Switching the play to Huth. Berenstein ahead of her. One back by Batcher, who's failed, but advantage played. Here's Chawinga. Can she find the right pass? Lifting it forwards. Can't quite find Vicky Becco. And Linda will get there. Back now to Minga, who launches the ball up the line. That's going to fall to Wendy Renard. 4.5 minutes now. Egarola. Renard. Egarola. Becco. Knocks it wide. Lawrence down the line. Dumornay now up against Linda. Dumornay. Ball in. Blocked by Sarai Linda. And out now for Lyonnes corner.
Yeah, again, Wolfsburg just hanging on now, defending their penalty area valiantly. They're doing enough at the moment, but all it takes is one chance. Similarly, one breakaway, one opportunity could spell trouble for OL Lyonnes. They've got to be careful themselves. They'll want to get it done before extra time.
Batcher delivers into a good area. It's headed away. And Zikai nodding on. Albert's going to get there, trying to create space across. Battling Makora Zikai. And that's deemed to be a foul. I think Albert's a little bit fortunate there. Got muscled off by Cora Zikai. Let's have another look.
Oh, yeah.
Don't think there's as much wrong with that, though, as Schrader makes it look.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for Zikai. Doesn't mean to do it, but yeah, Schrader does well to make the most of it. It's going to hurt when you're trodden on, but I don't think... They're both just chasing each other down for the ball. I mean, okay, I don't think it hurts that much, blimey. Yeah, big moments, big decisions.
And it's Melchi Dumornay over this. Batcher runs over the ball. Dumornay lifting it in there on top of the goalkeeper. And a good claim from Stine Johannes once again, who wants to release it quickly. Egarola getting in her way. And now Johannes launches it forwards. And Batcher bringing it down. Schrader giving it away. Here's Huth. A pass inside to Pedamors. who does well to evade the challenger. Batcher, Huth, ball in, cleared away, and Batcher nodding forwards. Dijkstra muscles off Chewinga. Here's Huth. Lifts it in there, looking for Berenstein. Renard heads clear. And now Zekai opens up. Could she get the shot away? Not quite.
I think she had to release one there, Zekai.
Shifted wide well, though, by Levels. Linda. Zekai. Twisting and turning. Knocks it wide. Here's Levels. Chewinga does enough to stop the cross. And Beko trying to jump into that challenge. Doesn't get there. Shot now from Camilla Coover. And Enda does well.
Yeah, not a bad effort from Coover. Would have taken something special to beat Endler from there.
Change coming now. That's Wolfsburg will turn to their bench. Ball in and, well,
Wow.
not the delivery that Tabata Chewinga wanted. And I think Wolfsburg will now use this to bring on their change. It's going to be the midfielder Smila Velotto coming in then, adding a bit of creativity perhaps. And you'd assume that's for Svenja Huth. Oh no, Bielda. So Linda to right back, Levels to left back.
Yeah, they're not shying away.
Velotto in the pivot.
They're not shying away from this, Wolfsburg. I mean, it's not like incredibly aggressive, but it's not a defensive change.
I think it's more attacking. I think it's bold to take off Bielda. She's done so well. Firstly to handle Eula Brand and then Tabata Chewinga. Pedamors. Here's Huth. Try and knock it down the line. Blocked by Batcher. And a good tussle as Chewinga comes away with possession. Egarola. Batcher. And that is the full-time whistle here at the Groupama Stadium. We've got another 30 minutes of Women's Champions League action headed our way now as we're off to extra time. 1-0 on the night to OL Lyonnes, 1-1 on aggregate. 30 more minutes to split these two sides. 15 minutes with a short pause between the two. Who will come out on top in this extra time period? Both sets of players, both teams will get a chance for a short break. And a quick note from the manager, I'm going to also take a short break, Harry, so I'll leave you to preview the extra time.
Yeah, these times are always very difficult as a player and a manager because tactics can kind of go out a window. The biggest test is always fatigue and a testament of who can provide the quality when it comes down to it. Half an hour to decide two teams that have battled brilliantly over the two legs. Wolfsburg with the upper hand in the first leg. Lyonnes with the upper hand tonight. Means that we get half an hour to decide a winner in the first quarter-final and the last quarter-final to go to extra time. But wow, what a 90 minutes that was. Wolfsburg held on valiantly and OL Lyonnes couldn't find the second goal despite a very dominant spell. If you are tuning in, then get involved in the live chat. Have your say as to who you think is going to win this extra time period and whether the game will or will not go to penalties. I expect that OL Lyonnes will want to kill this game off as quickly as possible and will want to try and find a second goal that would be a winning goal. Wolfsburg probably looking to be a bit more defensive and will be happier to take this tie to penalties. But what a game it's been. What a tie it's been. And I think it's rightfully going to be decided by extra time and potentially spot kicks because it deserves it. Both sides have battled hard. It's been the closest quarter-final out of a lot. And still, after 180 minutes of football isn't enough to separate the two sides. And it's what you expect when you get two giants of the game battling. But this is where quality can make the difference. And Lyonnes, you're looking at Katoto, you're looking at Dumonet, you're looking at Chewinga. Could they make the difference in this 30 minutes? For Wolfsburg, they've defended valiantly. But can they hold on against the Lyonnes firepower for another half an hour and potentially get something on the break? Zekai's on there now. You've got Lynette Berenstein, the experience of Svenja Huth. It's poised very nicely between these two sides. Both goalkeepers, well, Ender's had a bit of a less busy time of it. But Stina Johannes has been brilliant across the 2 days, but especially tonight, a phenomenal save to deny Batcher from a corner. Another brilliant save to deny Batcher again from the free kick. And again, just some very assertive goalkeeping. Coin toss now taking place between Renard and Huth as to which side will get us underway first in extra time and which end they will start. But for Wolfsburg, they will want to remain solid defensively, look to break for Lyonnes. They'll be frustrated that they haven't killed this game off just yet. But they'd back themselves to find that elusive second goal in the next half an hour. But yeah, very dramatic. This is what we want from the Champions League. We want drama. We want a bit of chaos. And that's exactly what we've got here. With both sides still equal after 2 whole games of football. Perfect timing as we're just about to get underway here.
That's good. Both sets of players then taking to the field. Who will come out on top and, of course, face Arsenal in the semi-finals.
So I'm sure there's a lot of Arsenal fans that are sat here waiting patiently to see who they'll take on in a couple of weeks' time.
Will it be Growlers' OL Lyonnes? Will it be Stefan Lerch's VfL Wolfsburg? What a fascinating tactical contest it's been so far. And that inevitable, that seemingly inevitable Lyonnes winner just never quite came in normal time. Can they get it done in this extra time period, or will we need penalties? That is the next big question. It will be VfL Wolfsburg to get us back underway in this game, though. Svenja from the middle. Referee just awaiting confirmation and now can get us back underway. Another 30 minutes of Women's Champions League action and the first game of the Champions League so far to go to extra time. And it's to decide our last semi-finalist. Out now for a Wolfsburg throw-in on this near side. Levels.
Yeah, very intrigued to how both sides play this. I think that we can usually see sometimes extra time periods can come end to end. Sometimes they can become very cagey. And it'll be very intriguing to see which way this one goes. But it's important that both sides settle back into their rhythm and get going again in these first couple of minutes and then look to kick on and try and find a winning goal. But I think it's very difficult as well. You're tiring, you think you're done, and then you've got to play another half an hour on the cards, especially with something like a Champions League semi-final place on the line.
Indeed. Zikai tried to play inside there, just seemed to catch Egarola, ball into the box. Stina Johannes with a great claim as Chawinga was chasing onto that ball. And she released it to the right-hand side. Caitlin Dijkstra. Beerenstein makes the run beyond. Engen steps up. Beerenstein up against Renard. Blocked well. Falls back for Beerenstein. Now back out wide. Svenja Huth wants to take on Batcher. What can Huth do here? Blocked well by Batcher. And Egarola now looking to springboard a counter-attack. And it's a ball to the left-hand side. Chawinga chasing down Kuva. Kuva, though, physical and able to hold on to the ball under pressure. Huth has a runner in behind, choosing the safer option. Now Velotto. Here's Ella Pedamors. Pass across to the right-hand side. Slipped through by Minga. Velotto trying to hold on to it, but loses out to Katoto. Here's Dumornay. Carrying it forwards. Mathieu Dumornay. Good challenge from Pedamors. And Kuva winning it back and carrying it forwards confidently. Here's Smila Velotto. Tries to find Zikai. Great pass from the Swiss midfielder. Velotto trying to... Zikai trying to switch the play and firing it into the face of Egarola.
Yeah, I have to say, I quite like the change of Velotto coming in for Wolfsburg just before we went into extra time. I think it's just given him a bit of energy and a bit of life in midfield.
Yeah, it's been a very disciplined performance from Wolfsburg, but yeah, they are starting to move the ball a bit better now. Ball to the left hand side. Chawinga flash across the box looking for Katoto. Here's Beko firing over. Just enough there, Janu Levels to put her off. But this a dangerous chance for Lyonnes.
Yeah, fired across the face of goal brilliantly by Chawinga. Katoto couldn't quite get there, and Beko at the far post. Yeah, just blasts over. Really good defending from Levels to put her off. But Lyonnes just showing that they can come close and they can cause. They've got a lot of threat in that front line, and that will be the biggest concern for Lyonnes. For Wolfsburg, sorry.
Lyonnes on the ball. Lawrence down the right hand side. Beko now. Knocking it forwards. Melchi Dumornay. Trying to find an opening now. Here's Lawrence. Engen. Schrader. On the edge of the area. Just trying to work well in the tight spaces. Katoto drops to Batcher. Batcher looked down the line. Thought better of it, but does now find Chawinga with the pass. Chawinga looks to burst forwards. Brilliant from Chawinga. Cuts it back for Egarola. Falls for Katoto. Now Dumornay. Can anyone get the shot away? Lawrence. Feeding forwards. It's cleared away. It bounces around and it falls to Stina Johannes.
Again, good play down the left-hand side from Lyonnes, and it's cut back to Egarola, and it's a brilliant intervention to deny Damaris Egarola. Falls to Katoto, just couldn't spin goalwards and release an effort, and eventually Wolfsburg welcome it back into the arms of Stina Johannes. But again, good from OL Lyonnes.
Indeed. Berenstein losing out in there. And here is Engen. Now Batcher. Batcher happy to carry onto the right-hand side. Now to Lawrence, and Lyonnes overloading. Trying to create a bit of space. Engen. Head away well by Levels. Here's Zikai. Her pass is picked off. Egarola. Engen. And now Batcher. Chawinga wants to take on Bielda. Ball in. Good ball. Beko has to score. Vicky Beko. You're not going to get many better chances than that. Chawinga bursts. A brilliant ball, and Beko really should bury.
How is it not in the back of the net?
Just gets under it. And taking her frustration out on the post. How on earth do OL Lyonnes not have the lead in this tie?
Wow.
What a chance. Vicky Beko squandering it spectacularly.
It's another brilliant ball in from Chawinga. And yeah, Beko, open goal, 6 yards out, just hits her shin and goes over.
Chawinga's come to life since they've moved Linda to that side. I think Linda just looking visibly more tired than Bielda.
Yeah.
And I think they're just getting Chawinga in behind a little bit more easily.
Oh, I can't believe she's missed that.
No.
Best chance of the game. Best chance since the second half started, really, for OL Lyonnes.
Yeah.
Nothing Stina Johannes could have done about that one.
Unbelievable. Lyonnes in possession. Batcher. Now to Engen. Here's Renard. Lawrence carrying it forward. Zikai trying to muscle her off the ball. Lawrence into Dumornay. Into Beko. Tries to find Dumornay, but it's over here. Just struggled a little bit, Vicky Beko. Perhaps still feeling that frustration over missing a big opportunity.
Again, she's come on and looked bright, but she's had a couple chances now. Got in behind in the second half and just overran it with a heavy touch. Has had a couple now at that far post in the extra time that have just
they
wide.
just find a moment at the end of this one. Engen. Now Renard. Through to Egarola. Now Dumonet. Options in front of her. Tobecco. Looks up. Delivery. It bounces through and Katoto is on hand to steer it home. Mary Antoinette Katoto scoring in the Champions League quarter-finals. Such an important goal at this stage of the game. And Vicky Becco, who squandered one moments earlier, turned provider on this occasion. It's brilliant from Lyonnes. Breaking through this central passage, Dumonet spreads it wide, and Becco, it takes a deflection, the delivery, and that takes it into the path of Katoto. And she was never going to miss that chance. OL Lyonnes 2, Wolfsburg 1 on aggregate, 2-0 on the night. Lyonnes lead at last.
Brilliant. All round from Lyonnes. When you put it on a plate for Katoto, you know she's going to finish. And I think Vicky Becco was just about onside. But they are going to have a look. It was tight. But I think Becco was on.
And they're going to check this goal. And well,
massive.
The Lyonnes fans wait with bated breath. They are still checking this. And the referee has a verdict. And the goal is offside.
Ooh.
What a moment in this tie. It's disallowed for offside. We go back to as we were before. Lyonnes 1, Wolfsburg 0 then. Vicky Becco just offside to the naked eye. There's a whisker in it.
That is toenail stuff.
Oh, wow.
That is a let-off for Wolfsburg. And for Lyonnes, that second goal just won't come.
And now Wolfsburg could find a winner of their own, Dumonet, with a strong challenge to stop Korozikai. And a throw-in in this high position now for VfL Wolfsburg. A few moments ago, they thought that might be it. Their Champions League dream dead. Well, hope is restored, and a shot now from Sven Huth. Well, that was almost spectacular from their veteran winger. Struck it with some venom, did Sven Huth. Couldn't quite find the target, though. And Lyonnes now carry forwards. Renard. Egarola out to the right-hand side. Here's Lawrence, looks down the line, and it's Melchi Dumonet. Dumonet finding the delivery, headed on, and headed out for a Lyonnes corner.
This game has sparked into life in extra time. Both sides having chances. Lyonnes will want. They know they've already put it in the back of the net once in extra time. They've got to keep pushing. Wolfsburg are handed a lifeline. 4 minutes now until the break. Can Lyonnes find that second goal before the interval?
Batcher, the one to deliver in towards the near post. It bounces free and a chance, and Dumonet scrambles it home. The winner disallowed a moment ago, but Lyonnes restore the winning goal. Melchi Dumonet scrambles it over the line, and Lyonnes lead in this tie. It wasn't as pretty as the first, but they do count the same, albeit this one actually counts some more. That one disallowed. This one, is there anything they can disallow it for?
Yeah, no, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's the first wrong decision I think that Sino Hans has made tonight. Comes to punch, it doesn't get there, and it bobbles and it hits the back of Dijkstra and falls kindly for Dumonet. And sometimes in football you just need the rub of the green, and that's what Lyonnes have got right there. Dumonet on hand to finish it. Wolfsburg just can't clear their lines. And that is a massive goal. Finally getting the goal from the corner that they've been pushing for all game.
I was going to say it was only 18 attempts that it took for them to finally find a goal from a corner. There you are. are going to check this one as well.
I mean, I didn't see anything wrong with it. We checked them for a foul, but I don't think there is one. I think Johannes just comes to get it and doesn't get there.
If anything, it's a foul from our own teammate,
Yeah.
I think.
Oh, this is more.
It looks like Renard. It looks like handball based on the gesticulation of Wendy Renard.
Yeah. Oh, this is more controversial than the first one. Surely Lyonnes aren't going to have 2 ruled off.
2 winning goals disallowed, potentially. Is there a handball from OL Lyonnes? And once again, the stands draw breath, waiting for the verdict.
The fact it's taking this long tells you
We haven't seen a replay yet at all. Surely they're going to go to the monitor at least after all this.
They aren't sure. They really aren't sure. In a massive moment, and I'm not sure the officials in the VAR room know what to give here.
Well, the earlier tie today had absolutely no drama. This one
go.
definitely making up for it. Oh, is it the harms there of Melchi Dumonet? As it falls to our... I think that may be disallowed. Stops the ball with a raised arm.
Okay, now I'm surprised it's taking this long. This is massive. Yeah, I think this is going to go down. I think it's going to be given as handball. No.
It's given. The goal stands. Lyonnes do have the lead in this tie. Well, that's one that we'll sure be talking about in the next few days. But for now, Lyonnes leads. Dumonet finds Lyonnes an all-important goal, but it's not without controversy.
It's close proximity, but her arms are up. I think that's...
Yeah. I guess the argument is if her hand isn't there, it hits her face. How much difference does it really make? But a raised arm in the penalty box. I don't know what's... I don't know. VAR hasn't covered itself in glory, has it? At the best of times, VAR lacks transparency, but particularly in the Women's Champions League. We've got 3 minutes of additional time in this game. Pedamore's barrelled over, and here come Lyonnes. Dumonet trying to slip it through. It's deflected by Dijkstra to Chawinga, who looks to take on Linda. Cuts it back. Dijkstra on hand to clear the ball away.
Yeah, Wolfsburg have got to get to half-time now. At only 2-0 down. They cannot afford... they can't afford to concede again whatsoever, really, in extra time. They've got to hang in there and just try and find something on the break, but Lyonnes are pushing to kill this game off.
Well, another you think would seal this one. And they've just scored from a corner from the right side. Now one from the left side. Batcher over this again. The ball into the area. Headed forwards and headed home. It's good. Lyonnes, who had a leading goal disallowed, then had one controversially allowed. The Damara Segarola heading one to put the result without a shadow of a doubt. Lyonnes 3, Wolfsburg 1 on aggregate. And that really should seal it now for the all-time most decorated Champions League side.
Brilliant header from Damara Segarola. Just gets away from Beerenstein and gets some distance on it. Really good header from Segarola. And that should just put them out of sight. But Wolfsburg, it's the risk of trying to hang on till extra time, is that the team with the better quality will prevail eventually. And OL Lyonnes have taken complete control of this extra time period. And you think that that will be that.
Levels tries to feed it through the lines, blocked well by Damara Segarola. Pass inside to Melchi Dumonet, who loses out. Zikai. And that's a poor pass. And have Wolfsburg given everything they had to give. Because Lyonnes now are finding space. Chawinga, can she get the shot away? She can. Saved well by Johannes. It just feels that the changes they were able to make have swung this tie. While Wolfsburg turned to a bench without the star-studded options, and Level, Zika and Velotta have all come and offered something. It's nothing to the power of Dumonet, Katoto, Chawinga, Egarola and Beko. All of whom involved in some way throughout those goals and those periods.
Yeah, brilliant drama. This is why we love the Champions League. Goal gets ruled off, goal gets controversially given, and then Lyonnes go and get a goal that probably just puts them away from any kind of, I mean, bar a heroic comeback now, should put them through. Who knows? I'm up for more drama.
Free kick, which Janu Lebels will take in towards the near post, cleared away. And that is half-time of this extra time period. 15 more minutes to play, but OL Lyonnes have established a 2-goal advantage headed in to the next 15. Have Wolfsburg got anything left to muster up? They fought tooth and nail for 90 minutes, but it does feel that their bubble has burst, particularly with that second goal from Damaris Egarola.
Yeah. It's difficult as it is to come back from a goal behind in extra time, but to come back from 2 against the 8-time champions is going to take something incredible now from Wolfsburg. As you say, they held on valiantly, but extra time just seems to be a step too far. And Wolfsburg are now in a prime position to seal their place in the semi-finals. Difficult spell for Wolfsburg.
But muted smiles on the faces of the Lyonnes players. They will know they've probably done enough to seal it. They've got to see out the last 15 minutes, though.
Yeah.
And VfL Wolfsburg aren't going to go down without a response. Gerardes keen not to allow complacency to creep in. Giving his team direction for the last 15 minutes.
Yeah. It's always the most difficult part when you are the underdog. Is lasting through the extra time period. Now, you can fight valiantly for 90 minutes, and of course, once you get the penalties, it's a lottery, but it's that half an hour where you're tiring, where the bigger side can bring on the better players, that you just struggle to keep up. Some teams manage to hold on. Wolfsburg have just slipped away. But they haven't really put a foot wrong. 2 corners. Yeah, and that's what happens. Players, you lose your markers. You find it difficult, you fail to clear the ball. That's what happens in extra time when you're tiring. But yeah, 2 set pieces in extra time could be what sees OL Lyonnes through.
Yeah, especially that second one there. I think it does just about settle it. I could see Wolfsburg nicking a goal, but 2 feels like a big ask. And the Wolfsburg cavalry, it's Guro Bergsvand. I'm not sure that's necessarily what they need to grab a goal. So Bergsvand on.
Weidemeyer on as well.
For Dijkstra and for Pedamors. So I'm a little bit lost as to what this team looks like now, but I'm sure we'll piece it together. I think Guro Bergsvand might be up front.
Love it.
Oh, Lyonnes get us back underway. Ball to the right-hand side. Beko knocking it down the line. And there does seem to be energy still in this Lyonnes team. They want for a throw.
They want one more. They know they get one more. He's absolutely done. There's not a chance in the world that Wolfsburg come back.
Lawrence goes down the line. Beerenstein's playing centre-half. Lynette Beerenstein or middle field, I think. Because Guro Bergvan's gone up front. Linda's playing centre-half. Weidemeier's gone to right-back.
And they've got to go for it.
And Guro Bergsvand leads the line. Here's Dumonet to Schrader. Cleared away well. And now they've got to play. And it's Beerenstein building out from the back. Ball down the line for Zikai. Can't quite find the next pass. But Bergsvand will battle away. Just got height on there in the front line. All cleared. Hang on, I think Kuva's got up there too. They've just put Kuva and Bergsvand up front together. It's a centre-half partnership of Beerenstein and Salai Linda.
Brilliant.
And then it's Kamia Kuva and Guro Bergsvand. I mean, that's a bit of a difference, isn't it? One side's subbed on Melchi Dumornay and Katoto, and the other one stuck its centre-half and brought on Guro Bergsvand, another centre-half, to go up front.
Why not? I like it when Stefan Lerch is bold. He's going for it.
Well, yeah, no, absolutely. What else has he got to do? Ben Yahya coming on and Corbin Schrader making life as difficult as possible, as she is incapable of leaving the field of play. Ironically, cannot find a straight path to lead the pitch. So Ben Yahya on to midfield.
Yeah, just looking to see the result through, slowing the game down.
As it stands, we've got some blockbuster semi-finals in a month's time. It will be Lyonnes against Arsenal and Bayern Munich versus Barcelona. Ben Yahya coming forwards, brought down in the penalty area. Team too soft for the referee.
Yeah, I think that was fair. In that, not too over the line, just positive.
Because as Kangaroos French women's football, and it's cost her a lot of money. Yeah, I wonder how much it's going to cost her to get London City into an even competitive position. Because £2 million, and they are a lower mid-table side at the moment. A lot of money to go. Chawinga carries forward, ball across, cleared away. Now Dumornay lifts it into the box. Katoto's efforts blocked. That's just in transfer revenue, to be fair. 10 million spent last season in the WSL 2 to prepare themselves. Wolfsburg coming forwards. Minga keeping it in touch. Back now to Levals. Dijkstra. And now Linda. Pass out to Janu Levels. Ball forwards, cleared away well by Renard. And now Dumornay puts it up in the air. Beerenstein winning it back. Can she get a shot away? It's into bodies and it's blocked. Bergsvand. Huth. Puts it back in there. Bergsvand can't quite get the flick on. Linda trying to keep it alive. Chawinga doing her best to win a foul. Ball in from Valotto. Nodded goalwards, but Endler with no issues claiming that one. Kevin says, how could OL versus LCO ever be allowed? Because of money. Multi-club ownership aren't allowed, but they'll find a way around it. When they sell London City to a mysterious new owner called Kishel Mang, I will start to have some suspicions. Wolfsburg coming forwards to the right-hand side. Huth.
This is my biggest problem with extra time. Is that when you do get a side that scores 2 goals in the first 15 minutes, the next 15 minutes can be quite redundant. Unless
they get a goal and then suddenly it's all alive again. But it does feel like Lyonnes will see this out, the way they're moving the ball. And it just looks like a very tired Wolfsburg team. I mean, how can they compete with the strength? That's the strength and depth made the difference.
Yeah.
Ball in behind. Chawinga gives chase. Johannes out quickly. And it's offside regardless. Lebas keen to get things ticking again. Linda to Svenja Huth.
What a challenge though they've put up. This, Jonathan Garaldes, OL Lyonnes steam train. that has not been stopped often this season, has been given a very good game.
That's one back by Becco. Well, they did draw with Strasbourg, of course, of the weekend. But a very rotated side in anticipation of this Champions League clash. Perhaps showing that while the strength and depth is there in the front line, they could probably do with some better depth across the board. Huth. Lifting it forwards, headed on, but not enough on it from Kuva. And it takes it away from Cora Zikai.
It's got to be a shout there from Zikai. I got you screaming to tell Kuva to let that go. But yeah, missed opportunity for Wolfsburg.
Egarola straight through the team to Katoto. Now Dumornay wide to Chawinga. Lyonnes looking to kill this now. Chawinga. Options on the edge. Cuts it back. Benyahia straight down the middle. That very much would have been that.
What a night, by the way, from Senior Johannes as well. I know she's conceded 3 now, but
still made some fantastic saves.
Superb.
Just spilt it for the Dumornay. Leading goal. Winning goal as it stands. But yeah, it will be interesting to see how, I mean, like, this is the kind of situation, isn't it, where you'd love golden goal.
Yeah.
Or even just like maybe extra time, maybe all extra time should have golden goal for like a second goal. So as soon as they lead by 2,
yeah,
a bit like tennis or darts. Once you've got that 2-goal advantage, it's over.
Yeah.
I'd add a lot more drama. I'd give an incentive to go and get that second goal to stop the game.
Yeah.
Lyonnes did it anyway.
Yeah.
Here's Katoto. Muscling off the challenger Wedemeyer, but can't quite keep it in the field of play. And Wolfsburg need to get this ball moving quickly. I think it may have been pulled back there for a foul. This was that chance of Enyahia. All of the goal to aim for. And just cushioned it way too central.
Yeah, that'd have been game, set, match.
Yeah, it does feel like Inez Benyahia still part of this Lyonnes team. I'm interested to see what her role is next season. But a player who I think for years now has been viewed with so much potential. But it's going to be the question of whether she'll ever realise it. It's featured a lot more this season under Geraldes. But with Melanie Mondi coming back into the first team setup next season, with Caroline Weir potentially joining, you'd imagine she could be one that does depart. Again, that could be a very decent pickup for a shrewd operator.
Yeah, Wolfsburg is struggling to compete now. Just consistent little fouls and niggles is the only way they can really stop Lyonnes progressing at the moment. And Lyonnes are just happy to knock the ball around for the next 5 minutes and see this result through.
Ball down the right-hand side. Becco lifts it in. Katoto tries to cushion it down. Cleared away. There is a call for a penalty in there. Referee, though, just going to let the game play. Here's Cora Zikai. Into midfield. Berenstein brings it forwards well. Valotto out to the right-hand side. Huth swings it in there, looking for Kuva, who nods it on. Is Zikai. Shifts it wide. Ball in the near post. Punched away well by Endler. And punched all the way to Katoto, who tries to find Chawinga. Down the left-hand side. Ball swung in by Velotto. One able to meet it in the air. And now Batcher tries to take on Huth. Who's going to get there? She wins it back, fires it into Batcher. Corner now for Wolfsburg. That was struck Selma Batcher right in the face there.
Yeah, body on the line for Batcher, but it's out for a corner. And well, you feel that if Wolfsburg are going to pull off something incredible here, they need to score soon. Yeah, Batcher got caught in the corner by Huth, but did well to recover. And yeah, took that point blank range to their face. It's probably just going to hurt a bit. Yeah, she's receiving treatment, but should be alright to continue. Should have done enough, though. Lyonnes should have done enough.
Absolutely. Just found those all-important goals at the dying stage of the first half of extra time. They've just seen this game out well. And it is now a corner for Wolfsburg. If they were to score here, might just set up a bit of a grandstand finish. One at the near post. Not the delivery they needed. I think that delay helped there. And Velotto just couldn't find the height on the corner that she needed. Brilliant turn that from the recovering Sara Linda. But it's good anticipation from Katoto, who gets there. Now knocks it up the line. Ben Yahya. It's gone off the field of play. Out for a Wolfsburg throw-in. Ball down the line, looking for Zikai. Nice footwork from Cora Zikai. One back in there, though, by Damaris Egarola. Lawrence. Egarola. Lawrence. Cut out well by Velotto. Vergsvan trying to find Zikai. Good defending, though, from Ashley Lawrence. And another corner for Wolfsburg.
Yeah, they're coming on strong here as Lyonnes are just sitting in and looking to conserve their lead. Wolfsburg trying to end, at least trying to get something back in this game. They fought well. Can they get a goal? Close the gap up. Don't see any miracles happening from here, but you know.
Well, they've made another change. It's Judith Pujols onto the field of play for Lynette Bierenstein. Ball floated in, claimed well. And that's a huge claim from Christine Endler. It's the kind of game where Wolfsburg need Alexandra Pop.
Yeah.
Or someone, obviously. I mean, they're so short on attackers right now. Are you a little surprised they've chosen to put players like Pujols on there rather than I mean, I guess Kessie Bussy didn't make the bench, so I'm guessing she had a knock. Ball flipped on by Katoto. Here's Chewinga. Trying to score. Cuts inside. Chewinga rounds the keeper and finishes the job. OL Lyonnes are your Champions League semi-finalists. Chewinga breaks in behind, rounds the goalkeeper. Job done here in Lyon. OL Lyonnes 4, Wolfsburg 1 on aggregate. Great flick on from Katoto. Chewinga burst in behind. Does really well to get around Vedemeyer, round Stina Johannes, and just fires it into the empty net.
Yeah.
A great move. Ball long, headed on. Chewinga finishes. Job done for Lyon.
Really strong from Chewinga, who does enough. And yeah, as you say, Lyon out of sight now. Came here needing to overturn the 1-goal deficit, and it took extra time, but they've done the job. A very strong showing in the extra half an hour here to just put Wolfsburg down.
And as Endler launches, that may well be that. You can't imagine 2 minutes of additional time for a game with a 3-goal deficit. Katoto. And now Dumornay is bursting through the heart of the team. Chewinga tries to get it back to Dumornay. It looks more like Lyonnes will get a 5th and make this tie look like something it never was. Comprehensive. 4-1 anyway. Discredits what a fantastic job Wolfsburg did across both games. But ultimately, the options off the bench simply too strong from Lyonnes, and a tiring Wolfsburg side punished by a devastating Lyon attack. Definitely things Lurch can be proud of and stuff to build on for next season. It's going to be a summer of change for VfL Wolfsburg. Lynette Bierenstein, Alexandra Pop, Vivian Enderman all expected to leave in the summer. New contracts for some of their young stars. like Kamia Kuva, though, gives them foundations from which to build on. It does feel like Stefan Lerch in his first season, while they would have wanted to be closer to Bayern, they've given a good account of themselves in this Champions League. And they definitely seem to be going in the right direction.
Yeah.
There's someone on the field of play. Brilliant. Everyone's just ignored them.
Oh,
We're playing on. While some fella just running around. They just played on. I reckon we do that. Just keep going.
What a way to end the night. Some Blake runs on. Oh, the steward threw himself at him and completely missed him. Why would you do that?
Well, that is an offside call. Kuva holding the ball up, but she was offside. And that is the full-time whistle here at the Groupama Stadium in Lyon. OL Lyonnes get the job done at last. It took 120 minutes this evening to make up for the 1-goal loss in the first leg. And once they had a couple, they just couldn't stop scoring. And they make it look a lot more comprehensive than it was. A very enjoyable night of Champions League action, though. And Harry sets up some very enjoyable semi-finals.
Yeah, brilliant. Last 2 brilliant clashes with Barca and Bayern and Lyon and Arsenal. But what a night. Wolfsburg, I mean, it's the biggest win I think I've seen through extra time. But they battled hard. They did brilliantly last week to come into this game with a goal advantage. They did well to take Lyonnes to extra time. But yeah, just got blown out the water as they were tiring, and Katoto and Chawinga and Dumonet just ran riot. But yeah, 1-1 after 180 minutes to walk away with 4-1 loss will hurt, but what a challenge. But that's what OL Lyonnes do. It's why they've won this competition 8 times. It's why they're one of the best sides in the world, and it's why they're through the semi-finals, because that's the quality they've got, that's the depth that they've got. And yeah, just too strong in extra time, but what a showing from Wolfsburg across the 2 legs.
And a chance to avenge their semi-final defeat in last year's competition, meeting familiar opponents in the form of Arsenal. That, though, is everything from us today. Thanks everyone that's joined us. We started streaming 5 hours ago, and bar a 15-minute break in the middle, we have not stopped. Thank you everyone that's joined us throughout the 2 streams. We'll be back with more content this weekend, back for the Women's FA Cup quarter-finals. Lots to look out for over the weekend. Sunday and Monday will be live, and very much looking forward for it. But yeah, that, though, is everything from us today. Thank you guys very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.